What's good, my ghouls and goblins? Happy REELOWEEN to you. Welcome to Really Scared, your weekly live streaming horror movie podcast. I'm so excited about this episode. I say it every damn week. We got a great show. You know that's always true, but I'm really excited about this one. It is such a nice October evening, the spooky season, the spookiest time of the year, and we are going to be talking about a very spooky, crazy, yucky movie called Hosts. We've got some great guests. I'm so excited. Before I bring him in, you know you got to bring my man, the top goblin himself. This time of year, they call him Connor Bleedblood.
How's it going? You can notice I'm not in my throne anymore.
No, what's up? You're in some sort of secret den, some sort of lair.
It's my new setup. You can see I'm Evil Deaded out. You can't see the pillow up there, but it's up there.
The Necronomicon still smiles down on you.
Yeah. So I now have like a hub, so it's pretty cool. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, dude, you're getting more legit every time we see you. It's looking more and more like a real professional show as we go. I'm still just hiding out in my bedroom with a jack-o'-lantern, but you could do worse, I think. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. I got Bat Squatch.
The Bat Squatch,
which we didn't get to on our really drunk episode.
Pull that up closer, though. Let me really get a look at him. The Bat Squatch. I love it.
He's a pretty ugly guy.
He's pretty nasty. Yeah, if you guys missed it on our episode of Really Drunk that premiered last week, hosted by none other than Connor Breedlove, we talked about cryptids and cryptozoology while we threw back some whiskey and cider. And let me tell you, I don't got water in this cup, all right? So I might be getting into a little bit of the same trouble that I got in on that.
Oh,
just a little bit, not too much.
I don't know how you're still doing it.
Just a little bit, not too much. Yeah, we didn't talk about the Bat Squatch, and he's really good. So I'm sorry we missed the Bat Squatch. Maybe next time if we do a follow-up sequel to the cryptozoology episode.
We might have to.
And it's been said, not to make it too local, but it's been said that Bat Squatch has been seen in Akron, Ohio. So maybe we got to go find him. Speaking of Akron, Ohio, I don't know if you know this, Connor, but we're in the news.
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
We are in the news. Look at these handsome lads right here. You gotta love it. We were featured in the Devil Strip, local Akron publication. Article written by Brandon Meola.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of those things where I talk to him online, but I never hear his name out loud, so you never know. I hate mispronouncing names. He wrote an article about Really Scared. He did a write-up of this experiment, this ride we've been on this year, making this horror movie podcast. So that was awesome. Loved it. Loved chatting with him. Loved how the article turned out. I'm going to throw a link in the chat if anybody wants to read that later. Matt wants to know when's the next Really Drunk. That's a question for you, my friend.
I don't know. I'm going to have to plan that. After that one, I was feeling it for a few days, so who knows?
I got to say, the guest list for Really Drunk, it's deep.
Growing. It's growing.
It's deep and growing. Everybody wants to be on your show. They want to drink their favorite drink, and they want to tell you what they're interested in. I mean, it's a great pitch. Who wouldn't want to do that?
It's very simple, and it's very fun. So
yeah, I had a fantastic time. That's over on our YouTube. It's over on the audio platforms. You know how it goes. Also worth mentioning, and by the way, the link's in the chat there. I'll throw it in for the audio listeners after the fact. I'll throw it in the description of the episode too, the link to that article, the Devil Strip. Connor, you've also been playing some games on this channel. That's been new.
Yeah, after the show, actually, I'm going to play some Dead by Daylight. So
Dead by Daylight.
A different stream, and I'll be playing that. So
yeah, so that'll be right here on this very channel. If you're watching it live, all you got to do is stick around after the show's over. Get a little post show with Connor and some Dead by Daylight. Got a lot of great serial killers and slashers and things in there. Monsters.
I'm going for Ghostface.
Going Ghostface. Yeah. You know you had to. You knew he had to. Hell yeah. Always great stuff to look forward to on this channel. And tonight is no exception. I have been anticipating this episode for quite some time. I'm really excited. Talking about a film called Hosts. Man, this thing is crazy. If you guys haven't seen Hosts already, we're about to talk to the directors and the stars. You see them listed there. this movie's crazy. We're gonna keep the interview kind of like spoiler free, I'm sure. The conversation spoiler free because I think this movie really warrants going in spoiler free.
Yeah, because you texted me something very like, I don't know, like very anonymous. Just
I just said you'll know.
Did you watch this yet? And I was like, no, not yet. And you were like, holy shit, there's a bonkers moment. When you see it, you'll know it. And then morning, I was texting you. I was like, holy shit.
Yep, you knew. I said you would know.
Right away, I was like,
and you knew. When it hits, it's different. Yeah, man, this movie's fantastic. I'll just throw that out here right ahead of time. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, there's no reason to tune out. You know, we're going to keep it spoiler light. Stick around. We're going to be talking to the fine folks behind this film. Obviously, live chat. So if you have any questions, anything you'd like to mention, if you have seen the film, want to say anything, we can throw it up on screen. They'll see it. It's going to be awesome. And if you haven't seen Host, you need to check it out after this because it's basically on VOD everywhere. Very easy to find, very easy to watch, and it's a great time. You want to watch a new scary movie this time of year? Look no further than Host. And look no further is the reality. Let's bring him in here. What do you say?
Let's do it.
We got so many guests. Some of them are in the same frame. I was going to like intro them like apart, but some of them share in the frame, so we'll just bring them in. Yeah. We got directors Richard Oakes, Adam Leader. We got stars Neal Ward, Nadia Lamin, and Samantha Loxley. Let's go. Let's bring them in. I see they're queuing up something here. I saw you in the bottom, like prepping something. I was like, I don't know if he is eating and wants me to bring him in, or. Oh my god!
I'm so sorry. Oh
That's no. You're.
It'll be funny.
What was that? Some sort of like mayonnaise explosion?
Yeah, it was very, very low calorie mayonnaise.
That's what they say.
I don't know if you guys have this, but it's 11 calories per, gallon or something. So
wow.
It's okay, don't worry. We'll be nice to do it.
Tastes like paint.
Oh my god, guys! Thank you for coming on the show. It's so wonderful to have you and all of your condiments tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, our pleasure.
You got to use a condiment, right?
That's right. Yeah. So great to have you guys on. I was talking about it before we brought you in, but let me say it again. The movie's fantastic. Congratulations on making the movie. What does it feel like being on the other side of this thing now, where it's like people have seen it and you get to talk about it?
We just want more people to see it.
Yeah.
It's strange.
Like it ever ends though. Like it's not been like a finish and then waiting time. It's been constant and still is constant work of trying to make it, finish it, deliver it, distribute it.
Yeah.
Promote it. So we're still this long journey. But it's cool. I love every second of it, which is why we're doing this.
I know we were talking about a little bit for the show. You've been on this relentless podcast cycle, this podcast machine. So first of all, I'm very grateful that we found a spot in all of that. Do you think that's been kind of a benefit of like the circumstances we're in? You basically can promote this film from your home and not have to go anywhere for it?
Yes and no. Yeah, sorry, Adam, carry on.
Yeah, no, I mean I guess it saves time and it saves money, but also I guess we miss out on opportunities like going to physical festivals and meeting people in person and stuff, which we had the pleasure of doing that, or the pleasure and the huge opportunity of doing that in Spain last week. That was like the only festival, Sitges Festival, that didn't go virtual. So we had the chance, all of us guys got to go out there and promote the film and stuff, and it was great. But yeah, it would have been cool to go to other places, but it's all virtual. Yeah. It's
the state of the world. I mean, I do wish I could have seen this properly in a theater setting. always the ideal way to see horror. I don't know if on the other side of this, whenever that might be or whenever that looks like, hopefully you guys can do some sort of, even if limited theatrical run, that would be fantastic. Because I feel like horror really warrants itself to seeing in that communal experience, you know?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, we got to see it twice in Siegen, so we saw a live audience react to it, which was pretty cool, albeit there was like a third of the capacity that they could have. But even still, some moments in the film were like, whoa, what the what just happened, sort of stuff. So we were privileged to be able to see that, and the Spanish were very accommodating over there with how they received the film. So yeah, we would just love to have done that, like Adam said, and Rich says, all around the world. Like we missed out on the US. I personally was looking forward to the US, like and Canada especially, and then Busan, and everything just sort of went meh. And then we've literally been agoraphobics, not leaving the house and just trying to promote it as best we can. So it's I mean, it's everyone's dream to go see the film in the cinema, of course. We did it twice, but it's it would have been great to see them in like full swing at the festivals and stuff like that, and especially Fright Fest as well. Our home country would have been ridiculous, and we were sort of fingers crossed at the last minute, and then suddenly. But it's a great positive. More people can see it online than the 150 in the cinema or 200 in the cinema. So we're privileged to be in that position. So.
This is the kind of film where I would really love to see some of the reactions to. Like, I think I like those classic, like the night vision cam in the theater, like Paranormal Activity or whatever, and everybody's just flipping their shit. Like, I would love to see a roll of that for your guys' film. I mean, like
the moment you were telling me about that, like when I actually saw it, my reaction, like my jaw dropped. I was just like.
The reaction we had in Spain, which I loved and I'll never forget, is just hearing from the very front, "Mamma mia!" It's like
some random Italian.
It's amazing, and I was sat next to. I think I was sat between Nadia and Adam in the first screening, and we're there, sort of, excited, and then behind us, someone just whispers like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
They're Spanish. That's not even their language. Do you know what I mean?
Whatever these guys are like, it's like it's in the midnight extreme section of Sitges Festival where you only get dedicated, diehard horror fanatics going to watch these films, and to have people there going, "What the fuck?" Like, like, oh, good. We were like. This is fucking great.
There was a couple of pooters as well, which was aimed at Lucy's character, like bitch. Couple of are you bitch? Like, mental. Like,
we got Lee Hunter shouting you guys out in the chat down here.
Yo, Lee. Who's that? Who's he?
You tell me.
Now we know Lee, man. Nice to see you popping up, Lee.
You guys touched on something that I kind of felt, which is, I naturally watch a lot of horror movies. I've been doing it my whole life, and I'm doing it more often than ever now as part of doing this show. And even like, I like to think I'm pretty desensitized, but there's something, again, and this is, we won't go into spoilers because it would be such a shame to spoil it. Cause like so much of my like visceral reaction was not knowing what was going to happen. And I would say there's some upsetting stuff in this film.
Yes,
I'm sure I'm not the first to say that. Holy shit. I mean, that you were able to, like, it doesn't happen a lot where I'm like jaw dropped and just beside myself.
It takes a lot to actually like ruin my appetite because, like Taylor said, I'm pretty desensitized because my grandpa forced me to watch like all sorts of horror movies like at age 9. So I've been watching horror movies. Like I watched Hostel probably at too young of an age, so blood doesn't bother me.
That's hard.
When this scene came up, I was eating lunch and I was just like mid bite, and I was like, "All right, I'm done. I'm done. Do you need any more? I'm just gonna watch." I'm still good.
Yeah, not one to really have a snack during. Let's kind of go to the beginning of this thing. Like, where does the idea for this film initially come? Because it's such a like unique hybrid of like a home invasion movie with like a demon possession movie, but like also has kind of this sci-fi flavor to it. Like it's such a unique vibe. Where does the idea of this film start?
Well, you kind of said it there, man. Like the two kind of subgenres meet in the middle, and that's very much me and Rich. Like I come from a background of growing up and watching and being into the more supernatural side of things, like The Exorcist and stuff like and Poltergeist and whatnot.
As you can see here.
As you can see, yeah. And,
yeah.
Whereas Rich like is like a much bigger fan of the like the home invasion type films and the thrillers and stuff. And like we're both fans of either one, but like he's more on that end of the spectrum, I'm more on the other end of the spectrum, and marrying the two together, like it really works. And that's kind of what we got with Hosts. And yeah, really happy with how it turned out. It's like a really, in my opinion, like a perfect balance.
Yeah. I would agree. It feels like such a risky move because one end of it is so kind of grounded, you know, that again, that home invasion thing of like people doing terrible things to other people. But then you add this wild, elevated spin on it. And there could have been like a real conflict there, but no, it like I was on board and just immersed in it the whole damn time, man. It's so good.
A story of where the idea came from, which I think is interesting. I think Adam's like, it's not a great story, but I think it's really interesting. And so, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, so Rich and I and Nadia as well, we'd already written this script to a film called Dirge that we would love to. I mean, that's the plan, that we'd love to make that in the future, but it requires a higher budget. So we figured, let's make a lower budget film so that we can sort of open doors for us. So we were ready to do it. I guess we just hadn't come to the drawing board yet. And I had this experience where I was sitting with my ex and she just starts panicking and pointing at the window saying, I just saw something out there in the bottom left of the window, which backed onto the garden. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, I just saw a blue orb like by the window. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, blue orb, whatever, by the garden. So I'm like, okay, I'll go and check it out. So I went into the kitchen and took a knife because I was kind of freaked out, and went into the garden and scoped the garden out and cautiously and whatnot. And there was no one there. So I came back in and I just got straight on the phone to Rich and told him what just happened and that this might be a really cool idea as either like a film opener or a scene in a film. So we spent the whole night just storyboarding like a rough skeleton of the film start to finish with all the scenes that we want to do, like all the weird, crazy ideas that we had, and just kind of get it into a rough structure. And after we'd done that, I just went away and did the first draft of the script in a couple of weeks. And from then on, Rich and I sort of just developed the script until we were happy with the final version. And then here we are today.
Wow, so you lived practically one of the scenes out of this film.
Yeah, I guess so.
You seriously never know like where the first shred of the idea is going to come from, like the inspiration when it sparks. It's so, you never know, like you're just kind of captive to it. Do you have any theories, like looking back, like what do you think that was?
Personally, I think I was just trying to be gotten rid of for a few moments whilst yeah, that's what I think. However, it did me a massive favor because we kind of got this out of it. So yeah.
Yeah, puts you on the trajectory to making a badass movie. So
yeah,
that's what it is. I guess take it in stride, right?
Totally, man. Totally.
Now, Rich, I know you come from a background of directing music videos. And I think it's kind of apparent in this film in the respect that the cinematography is so damn good. Like this movie looks slick. It looks good, man.
Genius.
What was like the transitional experience like coming from that background, doing a feature film? Like, did you run into new like hurdles? Like, was it a pretty smooth move from one to the other?
I think it was pretty smooth, but not because I jumped straight from music videos to this. So I basically went from music videos to short films DOPing for other directors to feature films, DOPing for other directors to director/DOPing my own. So it was quite a gradual thing, and I learned a lot of lessons along the way of how to kind of deal with feature length things, because feature length is quite a daunting task to kind of create a film that's an hour and a half long when you're used to doing a 5-minute music video.
Yeah.
But there's pros and cons. Like, music video kind of has to be exciting in every frame, whereas you get time to just sit in a film and listen to people talk and those types of things. So it doesn't have to be like every 2 seconds you have a cut. In fact, I'm quite the opposite in what I like to do with directing and the cinematography in host is kind of linger on shots, potentially too long to make people feel uncomfortable. Like, we don't cut unless we have to type of jobby. And there's certain scenes when something uncomfortable is happening and it's quite tempting to go, now let's go to another angle to make the audience feel more comfortable. We're like, no, let's just hold on this and hold the audience in that position for as long as they can handle, I guess. Do you know what I mean? So it's very different in the style of edit, but as far as like cinematography, it has been a long journey that has been progressively, incrementally building to this.
Right.
Yeah.
So, is that how you and Adam met? Because Adam, if I'm not mistaken, you're in a band, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So is that did Rich direct a video for you? Is that how you guys met?
Yeah, he did, man. He was found by chance, man. Like, he was approached. Obviously, but my manager, he'd seen Rich's work and stuff floating about, because Rich is an absolute badass at what he does. So like, he'd seen it and he approached him and hired him to do our music video. And it's a funny story, because Rich came down and like, hey, nice to meet you, man. And me and Rich are quite similar when it comes to meeting new people. I mean, I'm super shy and quite introverted and stuff, and I get scared to talk to people. So Rich thought I hated him, and I thought Rich hated me. So we kind of just didn't speak much. And then Rich is directing the music video, and we do our thing, and we create a really cool music video. And then we went our separate ways. And then I'll let Rich tell the rest of the story, man.
Then I decided to make a short film for myself, because I've been doing music videos. But the whole time I've been doing music videos, in the back of my head, I was like, I want to make films. I wanted to make films since I was a kid, but I didn't go to film school. I wasted my life doing a music degree, which was completely pointless. But I would have gone into film if I could, but the barrier to entry when I was younger was so high. The cost of getting a camera that could shoot a feature film was ridiculous. And so it wasn't until after I'd finished uni, and actually Gillen, the producer on Hosts, I've been friends with him since we were very young, and he approached me and was like, have you seen these new DSLRs? They're really quite good now, and they shoot video. And I was like, oh, let's have a look, and you can change the lenses. And I was like, you can get some really interesting looks out of this, and they're only like £200-300. So I ended up getting one of them and progressed from there. And I was like, from the get-go, I wanted to make movies, but I was like, I can't just jump into making movies. There's no way in. So what I'll do is make music videos until I'm good enough. And basically what I've done is make music videos till I'm good enough, and then slowly progress into that. I still do music videos, and I still like doing music videos, and they're still kind of my bread and butter, but I think my real passion lies in film. So I decided to do my own short film called Exoplan, which is a terrible film, so don't look that up. It's like a
terrible is in the eye of the beholder.
It's a sci-fi little short that we did for no money, and I was looking for actors, but I didn't know any. I just knew musicians because I worked with them, and so all of the cast in it are musicians. And Adam approached me and said, do you know what? I've always had a love for film, and I'd love to act in your film. And I was like, yeah, man, you've got a strong look. We haven't really spoken much, but he came down for an audition, and I loved kind of what he did. And then we had to drive 5 hours down to Wales to shoot the film, and everyone was in separate cars, and it was just me and Adam in his car for the 5-hour journey. And by the time we got to the location, we were just best friends, and it kind of stayed that way. And we decided to.
That's the dream though, right? Like you guys are going for it. You're making movies with your friends, and like that could be a recipe for disaster. But the movie rules, and it seems like you guys are all still pretty fond of each other for what that's worth.
Definitely.
What was the atmosphere? What was the vibe like on set? Did you all know each other prior to the film, or did some of you meet each other as a result of hosts?
We knew Neal and Nadia before. We've been quite close friends for a few years. Like Richard worked with them previously on a couple of other projects for other filmmakers, and then introduced them to me, and we just became this really tight group of like best friends, and like it was great. And basically wrote the parts of Jack and Nadia's character Lauren for Neal and Nadia. You know, they were always going to be in that film. We've always wanted to make films with our friends. And then the rest of the cast, the majority of the rest of the cast was Richard worked with a few of them before. And yeah, but the rest, like, I mean, we met Sam for the first time on set. And she was a recommendation of Neal. Neal recommended her, and she had to learn. She got the job like last minute, you know, and she had to learn 20 pages of dialogue 24 hours before coming to shoot those 20 pages of dialogue. And she she nailed it. She absolutely nailed it.
Yeah,
she did.
I was on the phone last minute to her.
I tried to add in, but they're like, Sam, we've actually written a script. I'm like, yeah, I know.
But we all became like, after the first night of shooting, like, the rest of those 2 weeks or 8 days over the 2 weeks that we were shooting, we were all just like one big happy family, covered in blood, but one big happy family.
Yeah. Well, I guess like, the first couple of days it was just myself and Neal and all the crew, and then the next day was when Nadia's character Lauren and all the family came in. So I guess it was kind of like a little bit of a going in the shallow end,
like wading in slowly.
But I guess it felt that way for me because I didn't know anybody. But Neal, it must have felt the same way for you, I guess. But then going onto a set that's already been working for a day or two, I guess it kind of feels like it's warmed up a bit. I don't know.
I think the other thing is that when you're working for 8 days for 16 plus hours, some days, like you're in each other's pockets for a good, like it feels like a lifetime. So you start to know things about people, and you sort of become really close and get sort of friendship bubbles and things like that. And then you're just working constantly. So and the atmosphere on set wasn't how you would think it would be. It wasn't like doom and gloom. It was like every time cuts called, it's just like laughing, joking. Literally, I think that's a necessity to keep you sane on a shoot like that, because there are some sort of elements of it that's like, oh my God, like poor old Nadia was doing like take after take in the attic, and just like emotionally and mentally drained. And it adds to the performance of us all, really, because at some point, I think me and Sam became Jack and Lucy because of the sheer, I've been up for 50 hours.
It's like, do I look crazy? Because I am.
Yeah, you can stop acting now, Sam. No, I'm not. I'm fine. It's just like, gotta have a lie down. Like, no, just you got
I'm
20
just
minutes
gonna eat
before the
this
next
sparrow.
Job.
Okay. Let's talk about the performances in this thing. I'm so excited to have the three of you, Sam, Neal, and Nadia. I'm so excited to have you guys because each of you are bringing something so different to the table on this. No pun intended. And you are just absolutely killing it. I want to know, for each of you, do you guys have any like invested interest in horror? Like, I know Nadia, you were in Nefarious. So you've done a little horror work prior to this. Were you all kind of in the genre? Like, were you already interested in it, or like were you kind of learning the ropes throughout this film?
I mean, so I was in Nefarious, and prior to that there was another one called Dogged, and that was my first role in a feature film, which was a horror. And I mean, I like horror. I wouldn't say that I am a horror fan. Like, I wouldn't, oh my God, like that's all I love. Yeah. I'm more like Richard, and I'm into like the psychological thrillers. But it's so funny that I ended up like my first 3 feature film credits. Well, I like horror kind of thing. I don't know what it says about me, or whether I just cry for days, and I can do that. But no, it's there was a bit of a different experience on this set, though. It was, we were all friends, and it was an amazing atmosphere, but everyone was so good at what they were doing, and it was crisp, and there wasn't any drama, nonsense, or like anything like that. We all just got on with it, and I think the product at the end is a really well executed, finished film, with great nuances and new waves and everything like that. And there's just kudos to everybody who's part of this film. And we had the laughs, we had the tears, but we got on with it and just made a good film.
Yeah.
So,
I think what we have with this film as well is if you take out the horror elements, you've pretty much all of us that are in the cast are drama actors by trade. Nadia, myself, Sam. If you take out the horror element, you've got some good sort of invested acting there which we all take ourselves very seriously for our jobs, especially my roles. I'm always playing someone unhinged, not necessarily in horrors. It's always the bad guy. But if you just take that and drop that into a horror setting, traditionally you get sort of very hammy acting and very sort of played up, heightened like emotions, which are just like either the traditional scream or the really sort of cheesy acting. But if you take the horror elements out of this, you've still got a very good drama. I mean, some of the scenes between Nadia and Lee, and Frank and Michael and Jennifer in the mum. It's those scenes are nicely done and nicely played out, and it stands up alone as like a drama rather than just a straight up horror. So that's what I think everyone brought to this table as well, and especially with the direction from Rich and Adam was spot on, in my opinion. From sets I've been on, it was totally different to anything I've ever worked with before. So it all just sort of went and then worked really well. So
Sam, have you had any sort of background or invested interest in horror or scary movies or these types of performances?
Well, most of them scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
No, sorry if I'm not allowed to swear. I just did.
No, you can. You are all good.
Yeah. Well, the thing is for me, I think I'm kind of similar to Nadia and to Rich in that I wouldn't call myself like a horror fan. I love films and I love stories and I love stories about people and things that are intricate and that have, something that keeps you guessing. So whether that's a rom-com or whether that's a drama or a psychological film or a horror or something that's going to rip your guts out, like I would rather watch a really good film that happens to be a horror than just pick a horror or just pick a rom-com because of the genre. Do you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
So I kind of just like it when it can be seen as a film in its own thing. That said, one of my favorite films of all time is Funny Games.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
I keep getting that reaction because the first time I had like a skim read of hosts before I really got to the set, to be honest, and it just came up with because Funny Games is not got huge monsters and huge sets or storms or anything in it, but it's just about people being vindictive and powerful and using their position to manipulate people, and that to me was the most human but also inhuman thing possible. And I think that's the scariest thing, because I think we all know like a sibling or a person at school that at some points you go, hang on, are you really human? You're being really mean. And that's kind of what came through to me with hosts. And I think I said that one of the first days to I think to both Adam and Rich, I said, like, reading through this, it felt a little bit like Funny Games, but of course that's quite an old film now. I mean, it's 23 years old or 20 odd years old, and you guys were like, oh hey, we like that film too. I'm like, oh great, we've got something similar. And then in the reviews recently, people have been saying,
comparing it to
hey, there's echoes of funny games in this, and I'm like, I got something right.
Yeah.
I think it's just that same sort of element of, you know, I get super freaked out by things that are a bit demonic or like that you can't really, you know, like the Babadook we saw recently, which is like, I get it, but it's still scary because it's not people. Whereas when it's people, I find it scary, but you're like, hey, I can, you know, people are dealable with. But,
yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, I think that kind of nature of it really, really appealed, and I guess that's how I had to approach it because most of the horror films freak me out.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, let me say, and I mean this is the biggest compliment I can give. You are so creepy in this movie.
Yes. I was talking about this earlier. Like we were talking about how fucking creepy you are in this movie. Like the tooth scene, the like twitching with anticipation at the dinner. Like there's
Yeah.
My favorite part is the drooling on Nadia's head in the attic. That is my favorite scene.
Nadia, I'm sorry every day, but apparently sugar paste is good for your hair.
There's a funny story behind that though.
People
Rich,
love that scene, man. They love it.
Rich,
I loved it.
Rich, tell the story of why that scene or why that shot made the
Why
film.
it exists. Yeah, well, like we said, we've been friends with Neal and Nadia for a good few years, and we kind of have like a sibling relationship. We're that close that we kind of like to wind each other up. So that scene was put in purely to wind Nadia up because we were like, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? Because we always call her the diva because she's like, I'm too good for this.
I'm not.
What are we going to do?
I'm not. I believe him, I'm not.
We actually had a thing on set which she didn't know about. We call it Nadia Bingo, which was how many things is she going to diva off about? We have like specific things like complain about the weather, chick, and like all these things. And yeah, I think our first AD won the bingo bag.
You did.
Which was a bag found on set. Nobody knew who it was, but there was a $5 in it, and so that was the prize for winning Nadia Bingo. But we put that scene in, well, Adam wrote that scene in just because we wanted to see whether Nadia would do it.
And it was so like they were anticipating me like coming like the next day after like sending out the full finished script and be like, have you read it? Did you like it all? Did you like every scene, Nadia? And I was like, yeah, I thought it was great, guys. Amazing work. But
that wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough though. Because we was like, have you seen it? And she's like, yeah. And we're like, you know, the dribble scene. Have you seen it? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. Can't wait. So me and Rich are like, shit. Okay, so we're up in the attic.
I did not know this at the time. Can I just say no? I did not know.
And I didn't know about Nadia Bingo either, so I had no idea that was going underneath my nose, man. Like,
so the scene being written into the script, you know, didn't phase Nadia at all. So me and Rich basically were like, all right, let's go, like action. And Sam draws on her, and the first take was perfect, but we did about 6 of them just to see if Nadia would crack. But she didn't.
She's a trooper.
I wouldn't hold a diva moment against you at all, Nadia, for anything in this movie. You are in such close quarters. You are being licked and drooled on, and people are like right here. Like there is no such thing as personal space for you in this film.
Yeah.
She was perfect. She was absolutely perfect.
The licking wasn't in the script.
Nadia.
No, that wasn't.
Neil, you just put that in there.
That was my next question is like how much of this was like those small moments improvised, like the drooling and like the twitching at the dinner and all that. So was any of that like, I mean, the drooling was obviously like added out of the script.
The drooling, I know everyone keeps asking me this. It was not I mean, we call it dribble here. It was not my own dribble. It was a syringe full of what I can only describe as powdered sugar and syrup. I guess like we call it like icing sugar. I think it's a syrupy mess that's put into your mouth, and it's a little bit like Chandler in Friends when suddenly you're very aware of an action that you do every day, but now you're on camera and you're like. And you like it's very, very strange having to artificially spit on someone because normally if you try and spit, you suck it up and spit. You don't have it there already. You don't have to wait for a while. Anyway, I'm not going to go method on you and spit into the camera. But,
I would have taken it, Sam. I would have taken it.
That was ad-libbed by the cast because they're just awesome. So like the ones you mentioned, Neal licking Nadia's face, that came out left field, and we were like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, keep doing that. See if she. I've got bingo coming.
I think there was like 6 takes. Was it 3 takes of that?
You
took 3 takes. Yeah. I have a tendency. There's a short film I did a few years back where I was in a scene being again a terrible, horrible guy to a sort of mental domestic abuse to a girl, and she starts crying in the scene, and I just licked her tear off, like pulled it off her face, and I don't know what it was, but the guy kept it in, and it was like it's just so uncomfortable. So I seem to find these little things where I just feel like, oh, she's so terrified. Like the worst thing that happened now is to be technically sexually assaulted. That is technically. And that's just even more harrowing to what poor old Lauren's going through and what she's just been through. So the last thing you want is some silly neighbor coming over and licking your face and spouting some terrible nonsense in your ear. Do you know what I mean? It's it adds to it. But yeah, it's like Rich said, there's not many other parts, especially for my character where it went off book. Really, it's all very meticulously written out and done for certain reasons, and the subtext in there written incredibly by Adam. So
don't do yourselves a disservice though. There was a lot that you guys brought, and like you mentioned, the twitchiness of Sam at the table. I mean, we were, the direction I remember giving her is both me and Adam kind of spoke to her about was you're getting off on the idea of what's about to happen. Do you know what I mean? And that was kind of the idea, and kind of Sam took that and translated that in the way that she wanted to project it, which is what you see on screen. And I remember me and Adam just watching the display, and we were watching the whole scene and watching every character on that wide, and then we both just draw to Sam, and Adam just goes, "Oh, dude!" Like he's tapping on my shoulder while it's going on. He's like, "Look at Sam and what she's doing," and I'm like, "I know, man. Like it's just genius." The way she's kind of just getting more like excited about what's happening.
Getting off pretty much on it. Yeah.
It was amazing, absolutely amazing.
There was a guy I was speaking to the other day about that moment, and someone was saying, "Oh, why does the family not notice that these guys are acting like they're acting?" And to be fair, they're all sort of self-involved in their own stuff that in their own sort of personal demons that you don't even notice her, and then that you end up watching Sam's performance there because they're all involved in their own little bubble of point. Yeah. And I was like, so people are like, oh, why did they notice this? And I'm like, well, they wouldn't, because they're so self-indulgent. Like they're not bothered about it. It's all about themselves.
The other thing is this is an English film, and I think there is maybe it's not with you guys, but we've spoken to some other Americans, and they're like, oh no, I would have pulled them to one side as soon as they came in the door and say, what the hell's wrong with you? And I'm like, English people don't do that, man. We don't want to offend anyone. If someone's acting weird, you might go off to your missus and go, they're acting a bit weird. It's just kind of what they do, but you won't say it to their face because you might offend them. Or they might.
Exactly.
So,
and that's
I don't know if there's a cultural difference there, but it's kind of very different of how we would approach that if someone's acting weird in your house.
Exactly. And they're at the dinner table, so you don't want to keep looking over at them and being like, are you guys okay? Like, it's like, okay, just let them have, maybe they've had a little argument before the dinner, so we're just going to talk and let it flesh out. And that is basically what Brits do.
Yeah, just ignore
the problem, and then we'll just, see if everything's okay near the end.
But also, the mother is talking about... Sorry, Sam.
And then I was just saying, like, the awkwardness that Nadia's character and her brother has, and then the awkwardness that she has with the parents, that's one thing. But the awkwardness with the guests being totally detached aliens. Oh, that's a totally different awkwardness. We don't talk about that awkwardness.
Yeah.
We can contain this awkwardness so long as everybody's happy with their meal.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil, back to you. Sorry.
No. I was just sort of saying that it's like is by the time that the mother starts talking, everything's invested in her. So if you look at that frame and the framing, the way they've done it is what Sam's doing is happening on the bottom right, and then they're all fixated with what the mother's saying. So if people are going, oh, how did they not notice that? It's like, well, yeah, you probably wouldn't if you're listening to that kind of conversation or that kind of monologue. So I'm not going to spoil anymore because I'm spoiling territory.
You see a lot of glances from like Michael, and like he's like, "You enjoying your food?" and there's no response, and he's kind of like a bit awkward and stuff. And so there are those moments there, but like I said, the Brits won't literally call them out in front of everyone. That's just not.
No, yeah, I think it's easy when you're watching a horror movie to be like, I would do this and that. It's like, well, would you? Because realistically, I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't call anybody out. I'm like super like antisocial and like just like awkward, where I myself would not. I would just be like, all right, this is a little weird, but I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man. There's a very cool story that I actually can't tell now because it's too early and not enough people have seen it, in my opinion, for me to explain where like a lot of the inspiration for that scene, the dinner scene, like came from in terms of reactions to when shit hits the fan, based off a sort of similar-ish experience. But I can't say any more, but I really want to tell people about it one day because...
well, there's an interesting thing about we were on a podcast. Oh, we went on a podcast. We listened to a podcast. We were talking about the film, and they're like, "It's so unbelievable, the reaction that the family have to the event."
Oh yeah.
They're like, you know, we would have kicked ass if we were there. Like, we would have kicked ass. And then one of the podcasters said to the other one, "Oh well, I've been in a similar situation where there was a drive-by, and it was horrific." And I just stood there doing nothing. But I know my friend would have kicked ass if he was there. And it's like, so the only experience you guys have had of a similar situation, you did absolutely nothing, but you know someone else would have done what you think should have happened. It's like, no, man. Like, if most people in that situation would just do nothing.
But you also don't know what you're going to do ever until you are in that situation.
Yeah.
So everyone can sit back, like exactly what Connor said, and go, I would have done this or I could have done that. I'm sorry, but unless you're in that situation, you have no idea. And there are people who have been in that situation and have recounted something that did happen the way that it did, and that's the reason why the family react the way that they do at that dinner table scene.
Literally no one, like 99% of people, will not do or say anything until the act is over, and I have been there, and that's how it is. It's over before you even know it, obviously. You know, and one day I'll tell that story, you know, when I guess the film's a bit more exposed to the world and stuff, and more people have seen it. I don't want to give anything away now, though.
Yeah, but the question I did want to ask in non-spoilery terms is from whose mind did that scene originate from? So I'm understanding it's Adam's.
I don't know.
I can't remember. I think we both kind of like,
it was something we worked together. I think there's very few scenes I think in this film that. Well, personally for me, I have no idea whose mind that came from. But me and Adam work. It is a strange thing. We do work from the same mind. It's like any idea I have, I'll say to Adam, and he's like, "Yeah, was exactly just about to say that," or I'll start to say something, and he'll go and finish it, or vice versa. And we just, when we're on a vibe, we just lock so much creatively that it is like one idea because. That's how it works. But one element of that, like Neal was there with the writing process as well. And some of the ideas, again, without spoilers, can't really say what, but Neal came up with quite a pivotal part of that scene as well. And that was what happened in the film. And we're quite open with that with our friends, and Nadia helped us write a lot of dirge as well. So, we're not like cagey with stuff. We like to kind of open it to the floor and chuck everything into the pot and see what sticks.
Yeah. So
that particular. Sorry, mate. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
What Rich is talking about, that particular scene, I was literally behind Rich and Nadia was a sofa, and I was just lying on that, just sort of listening to Rich and Adam chat about that scene, and I was just sat in my mind going, how could we make that even worse than what it already is? what could make that just so
it's you
worse? No, I was just going, how do we get it even worse? And because of they got the subject matter and they got what was happening, and I was like, that would make that even worse if that was what she would say instead. And they were like,
I'll try to explain it without spoilers. So the thing that the mum talks about, well, first of all, we knew the event would happen. And then we were like, how do we make this worse? And then we were like, well, let's add in this speech prior of what's happened. And then Neal came up with the second half of that speech, which makes it even worse. So do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, because that was my first thought when it happened. Well, there was two thoughts. It was, how far is she going to go? Because I was like, oh, she's done. And then it just keeps happening. And I'm like, all right, she's not done. And the second thought was, the mom's, through the woods, pretty much.
Through the woods is what
everything's to live for.
And then this happens. And I'm just like, oh, my God.
So cruel.
But you know what? As cruel as it is, I think we mentioned earlier, I didn't know any of these guys, and I was very last minute into the casting sort of option for this. But Neal was the only guy I knew on this, and he recommended me, and he said, "Oh no, don't worry. There's this wicked scene where this thing happens, and then this," and I was like, "Huh?"
Well, I knew Sam from a couple of meetings through I knew Sam through a couple of meetings with a friend of mine who's a producer, April, and I'd met Sam on a couple of occasions at social events. And I was literally turning up to her.
Like a psycho.
No, she's just really bubbly and really friendly and really chatty and talky. And then I turned up to April's short film screening, and I'd just been working during the day, and I'd missed the film because I was working late. But I was in the foyer talking to a casting director, friend of mine, and then Sam was there. So Sam came over, and I was like, "Oh, I talked to this casting director. You need to speak to her because that's what we do as actors: is go speak to her. She's beneficial." So Sam and me and her were having this little conversation, and then I think while I was talking to the casting director, Sam sort of just drifted off into this serious face of something just had literally walked through her. And I was like, whoa, she'd be really good for the film that the guys are doing. And all the casting sort of came from Rich and people we knew. So I was like to the guys, you need to, this girl will be really good for it. And I think she could nail both looks. So yeah, it's passing that on. And that was ridiculous. And coming onto set with her, just not knowing anybody apart from me, I was just like, yeah, get in, because it's so much fun. You're going to have so much fun with that.
Just talking about that, just one of the comments Glass Ravens asked was Sam's monologue in the room with Ben done in one take. I'm not quite sure which angle you're asking for that, because that take was done in one take, because the whole thing plays out in one shot. So there's nowhere to cut on that. But I think
three tears.
But we did. So yeah, it was done in one shot. But no, it was lots. There was how many? 5 takes of that.
I think there was 6, and all of them were fantastic. It was just that was amazing. What if we can go even better with it? So we'd go, Sam, let's go again. And she did it again, and it was somehow better than the last. And we were like, oh, can we do it again? Can we do it again? And it just kept getting better and better and better. And then
it started more spoken, didn't it? And
it started more spoken.
To get more whispery, and we were like, well, how about? And then Adam was like, why don't you do the whole thing kind of more whispery? And then we kind of did a couple of takes like that, and that's kind of where we ended up. Yeah.
I think there's a credit to
the less you blink, the less you need to blink. It's quite nice once you get through the pain.
As a credit to the guys, Rich and Adam, one thing I will say about the filming of this, even though it is low budget and we had a very short amount of time to film what we filmed in, the guys do not compensate. If they want something and they have a specific idea, they won't. It's not that they won't stop till they get it. It's if they've got it already, they'll just go, let's see what we can play with the time we've got. And you don't get many directors like that especially in the indie world. It's all just like time is money, get it done, get it out. And Adam and Rich's direction is key for that. I say a lot of those scenes of heightened emotion, it requires, even when you've given everything as an actor, and I probably Nadia could say this even better than me, but when you're up in that moment of heightened emotion, to be then told to do it again, it can sometimes go to an actor, oh, it wasn't good enough. But the way these guys do it and get the best out of each and every one of us cast, Nadia and Lee in the attic, for example.
That was a hard day.
Hard, and they, even though you've done the best and it's nailed in 1 or 2 or 3 takes, there's always an element you get from a next take, because you're not even thinking about it anymore, and they can see that there's something more to be got from it that may not be a better performance or a worse performance, but there's something that didn't sparkle the way they wanted it to, and then they'll get it, and that's a credit to both of them as directors. Coming from actors.
Thanks, man.
No, it's the truth, innit?
It's also the trust that we all need to have with one another as well, like not just the directors, but with cast as well. And like that's where real performances come out from the woodwork as such. You got to have this respect and also just, you know, allow them to kind of breathe what they feel is right for what they're doing, and vice versa, and give back and give as much as you can give at the end of the day, because that's what acting is. It's not taking, it's giving. And that's that, you know.
I would love to also maybe, as in the most non-spoilery way, if we can, kind of get into some of the mythology of this film, because it plays it ambiguously, but not in a way that I think is upsetting or distracting or frustrating. You know, there's some little kind of clues and hints throughout the film, some things you can read into without blatantly saying this is what's going on. These are the greater implications of what's happening in the film. I'm going to try to figure out the least spoilery way I can walk around these questions, but like, is there a greater kind of mythology and idea behind the film that you perhaps haven't quite revealed yet, as far as like what we're seeing take place, not just in that house and with that family, but on kind of a wider, more broad humanity scale? Is it hard to answer? Is it hard to answer without getting too nitty gritty? Because I'm not looking for you.
Ask the man up above.
There are. I'll say there are several ways that you can take and interpret this film, and on the surface level, meaning I'm going to contradict myself here. On the surface level, there are multiple layers, and when I say surface level, I mean here today, as we're telling you, there are several layers to it. Some which we'd rather leave up to interpretation of other people, because we don't want to just give all the answers. But there are. Rich and I love to write metaphorically, and we love to tell stories using elements of, I guess in the host's case, supernaturalism and stuff like that, to help elevate a message that we're trying to portray. And the most important thing about Hosts is the story and the drama. And it's a dramatic, it's a family drama, a very sad family drama told on the platform of horror. And there are layers to it, and there are a lot of metaphors, and there is also a whole other biblical layer to it in tandem with that, which was a huge influence on Rich as well, you know. And like if you want to carry on with that, Rich, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. There's always that thing of like, I like to kind of wear my heart on my sleeve and tell everyone kind of what it's about and stuff. But I think there's an element with films like this that not giving all your cards up creates more discussion and creates more interest and stuff. My favorite things are the things I don't have answers for, and I know some people don't technically like that sometimes, and some people kind of go, "Oh, this is rubbish because it didn't explain everything that was shown." And it's like, yeah, but just go away and think about it. Do you know what I mean? You don't kick off at a Rubik's Cube because you can't solve it on the first try. Do you know what I mean? It takes kind of discussions and figuring out the algorithms and stuff like that. And not saying that like we're crazy clever in that kind of way, but there's depth that we put in that are quite personal to us and our lives. And I mean, I was brought up in a Christian household, and there's a lot of kind of influence from that type of thing that kind of was influenced into this. So like the demonology behind it is very kind of based on the biblical background of that, and how the angels were cast out of heaven by God and how they resent God for that. And it kind of plays a duality with how the without any spoilers, the family situation that you find out, and the story, all of the keys are kind of unlocked in that one speech with Lucy, the one take thing that we were talking about, and she explains the story, but it plays on the demon side as well as the physical family side, and it plays parallel, and so there's a lot of that kind of thing going on. I don't want to go too much into what everything means, but that's the kind of level, and some people have even watched it and gone, who are they? Like, is it aliens? And I'm like, oh, man, did you fall asleep? Kind of thing, like, because she blatantly says like that they're demons, like, and there's a lot of religious stuff in there, like, you know, just one example is when she walks in the door, she takes the picture and she turns it over, and it isn't a "I hate Jesus" type of thing, even though she probably doesn't agree with him. It's a, you know, when you're cheating on your missus, you turn the picture of her over because you don't want them to see what you're about to do. It's a shame thing rather than it is I'm going to be anti-Christian here. Like, I'm going to draw a crucifix upside down. Like, it's not that type of thing, which I can see it being easily read as they're turning a picture of Jesus over. That means she doesn't like Jesus. It's more from a place of shame, because she essentially is the child of God that has been banished. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, and this is, oh man, it's so, I would love to just like crack this thing open and really get into like the finer details of it, because I think it really warrants that. But I completely understand why we can't do that, because we want people to see this movie for the first time.
You can do it after you've gone live. You can turn that live button off later, and then.
I would love to. I would love to. I'm not going to keep you up till sunrise, but I would love to get into some of those details.
Because Taylor in the notes put like something I picked up on, but I had like a different like overall like metaphor for it. So it'd be interesting to discuss that after the show.
I think lots of people taking different things from it. I don't think there's a problem with that, because I think lots of people with stuff that's quite vague. What I love is there is a real meaning behind it, which is what our intention is. But we have no problem with, you know, I don't like it when people say it's whatever you want it to mean and kind of go with it. It's not that, but we have no problem with people interpreting it into their own situations and their own background. Do you know what I mean? Like someone we spoke to was like, or who reviewed it was like, oh, there's a lot in here about the natives of America being forced out of their land. And I'm like, we don't really have any experience of that. We're English. Do you know what I mean? But it means something a lot to you. And if you take that from it and you kind of get that from it, that's great. And, you know, environmentalists, people have been like, there's a lot of environmental things in here. And it's like, we don't really follow that so much. Obviously, we care about the environment, but we're not like environmentalists. So it's
all right. That throws out my theory. Right away.
I think a lot of people kind of play a lot on the fracking line, and I think that's
that's what I picked up on in like the video, like going up through the tunnel type thing. So that's what I picked up on. But to me, I don't know too
much. But when we're talking about stuff, the fracking thing is more about how the media will try and find any reason they can that's in vogue to explain a situation they can't, if you know what I mean. And I think
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, but lots of people have literally built a whole thing on the fracking line. I'm like, Yeah. But I guess that's how it works. Like the media will say something that's completely made up and everyone believes it. So I guess that's kind of...
I think that proves to like a good film is to have, you know, multiple theories.
Yeah.
Because it creates discussion and people are going to be talking about your film, discussing theories that they pick up on. I think that just makes it great because some of my favorite, you know, films are films based around conversation I have with friends about different, you know, theories that we have about the film. So I think that just proves that you have something special on your hand, that people have different theories about the overall meaning of the film.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you can have certain different kinds of films. You can have a film that you want to watch that's going to spoon feed you everything. If you've had a long day at work or a long week at work, you want to just sit and be entertained by stuff where it gives you everything you need. That's fine. I think the guys obviously clearly didn't want to make anything like that because it's entertainment, but not entertainment. So it's provoking a discussion. Even if you had a room with 5 people and 3 people hated it and 2 people loved it, that will cause those 5 people to talk about the film for an hour, 2 hours of their evening, and that's more beneficial to anybody than going, yeah, I like that film, that was good. That's it.
Yeah.
You want people to dislike it as well as like it. Obviously, every filmmaker and actor wants to be liked in every film they're in, but there is that element of we're creating art here, and not art in a sense of let's go to a gallery and look at pretty pictures. It's there's meaning behind what the guys wanted to talk about and put out there. So yeah, man, it's yeah.
I mean, I think that speaks to like the density of the film. Like there's like you said, there was layers to it, and it provokes conversation. And I don't want to say that it's easy to write kind of a surface level horror story. I don't want to say there's anything easy about writing a slasher story or home invasion story, and it's about people killing people, and that's all there is to it. But I definitely think it speaks to your ability as storytellers to go a little deeper in that, and not in a way that spoon feeds the audience and has like an exposition moment at the table where Sam and Neal's characters sit down and go, okay, here's who we are, and this is why we're doing this, and this is our goal. You don't have that, and that's okay. You know, if you're clever about it, that's okay, and it works. And I think it absolutely does. And I mean, right here, you know, we're having this podcast, we're having this conversation about it, and there's so many questions I want to very directly ask, and I can't. But I think that really speaks to the craft of the story in this, and that you are telling, you know, a very wild and violent and gross, and you know, and on a surface level, yes, you get to see a lot of blood and guts, and it's scary. But also at the end, you're like, man, I want to kind of think about that for a while and dissect that and get into that and figure out what it's all about. And I really think you accomplished that, because I'm still sitting here thinking about it. You know, days later.
Thank you, man. That's really nice to hear.
You don't do what Adam did and watch Hereditary 9 times if it's just surface level. Every time. So,
and the horror of the fact that there's 2 people doing what they're doing, Jack and Lucy. The sadness of it is that it's not even Jack and Lucy to a point,
right?
Which is the sad thing. It's not evil. It's not 2 bad people going and doing something. It's 2 people with no control of what they're doing and having to forcefully watch
and
it.
Exactly like what you're saying, it gives the audience that dichotomy of do I feel bad or good for them? Like, do I feel sorry or angry?
Yeah.
Like, and that's great, because even, you know, reading the scripts like the first time through, even sometimes we weren't sure what was going on and we made up our own decisions. But it's really nice hearing what people think as to whether, no spoilers, but as to whether
they're aware. Is that where you were going?
Is that a spoiler?
No, I don't think so.
It's as to whether they know what they're doing, or whether they don't know, or whether they're aware and don't do anything, or whether they're aware but are unable to do anything. Oh wait, that's probability lessons for you in maths. But you guys call it math, right? You know, the class that you took at school that everyone forgets.
One math. But that was the intent when we wrote it, and it was certainly the intent that what we wanted the Sam and Neal to deliver, and it was
I mean, it's amazing
So
as an actor or an
Jack-
actress to get that, because it's very rare you get the chance to have that.
Totally. But that Jack and Lucy were, in my head, in my opinion, for me, it's they are there and they are trapped and they can. They know what's going on, but they are powerless. It's literally like sleep paralysis, which I get a couple of times a year, and it's horrible. It's like sleep paralysis. You are aware of everything, but there is not one. You can't do fucking anything about it. And props to these two, man. Like the way they could portray that with just the eyes and do these horrible acts without giving too much away. But the way they could portray the malice, the sadisticness, if that's a word, and also pain and sorrow and regret, like in their eyes, all in one thing, is like amazing. Like, and it's just unbelievable. So you guys.
Oh mate, thank you. Touching on that though, there was moments, I think we all noticed this. I know me and Nadia were speaking about this when we were in Sieges, is that there's moments in the film that I'd never even picked up on from my own performance and from Nadia's performance and from Sam's and even Michael and Lee's Michael and Eric's characters. There's moments that, with Adam saying that in the attic, for me, there's so many changes in my face. I mean, Richard tells me off a few times for just stop your face doing these things, Neal. Just keep the odd little like unhinged movement of the things like that. Keep that in. But then there's elements there that Adam's talking about where there's a blink of the guy's trapped and he's like, "What am I saying?" And that comes out so much more on a bigger screen, which is. When I'm like watching films on my laptop, you can't quite see that, and my laptop's different to how Rich has graded it on his computer system and PC. So, those elements shine through if you look for them, and if you're looking for that, which is a testament to their filmmaking skills. Yeah.
There's also, without giving it away, obviously the moments. I'm sure you guys picked up on it, which is, I guess, the final moments that.
Yes.
The most tragic, I guess, with what happens there.
That's one of those questions I want to ask, and I can't.
Yeah, that was my next I don't think it's too spoilery. It's a question for Nadia. I hope this movie does pick up a huge following, as other famous movies with a final girl. With being essentially the final girl, how does it feel to be because in my mind you'll be an iconic final girl, because this movie's just embedded in my mind now. How does it feel being the final girl? Such a huge mark in horror.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that, Connor. That's really lovely. And I don't know how it feels, if I'm honest. I can. Of course, it's incredible to be from there, start to finish almost, and having watched the arc of the story unfold in front of you, and especially with the character of Lauren, she really didn't know what hit her the night before Christmas. She was just coming to hometown to have a nice cooked meal for her by her family, maybe have a little bit of an argument with her brother, who Lee is watching right now, plays Eric, and all that sort of nonsense. And the one thing was and the guys definitely completely aided this, was I really wanted to make this from her perspective, this, she's not ready for this. No one can be ready for this event to unfold in front of them. And I wanted that to be the nuance of every step was another hit,
almost literally, because you're getting tackled and
that was really fun to shoot. Probably the coldest I've ever been in my entire life. That was really, really, really fun to shoot.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That was another one of those oh shit moments where I'm talking to the screen. I see Sam like running in the background. I'm like, oh,
no, you don't.
Like, what is gonna happen?
Sorry, that's
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, like to have played that character with a very and someone said it in a review, and I kind of understand, like a potentially can be quite annoying character sometimes. I'm not saying that anything to the writing, but like saying like you kind of did the arc which is natural and like ending as the final girl, almost like what the hell just happened to me for the past 12 hours.
Yeah.
And that was a real pleasure to play, and I can only thank these guys for casting me.
I do think you were meant to be kind of irritating to start with, because you're pretty
all of those characters are.
You're pretty selfish, pretty self-absorbed, but that's the journey that you go on to take on responsibility and take on, looking after your family rather than just being completely self-absorbed and not wanting to take on any responsibility at all.
She had every chance to run away.
Even when she has this responsibility in the attic, she chooses to. Do you know what I mean? With that, again, they're not spoiling, but there's no. She's like, no, don't want to deal with that. No, goodbye.
Yeah.
Get rid of that. She doesn't want any responsibility. She is very self-absorbed as a character, which finally it comes around in the end, like you say, through the arc. But she doesn't. Yeah. She doesn't become this. Oh, I've been a bad person. I thought a lot about myself. She's doing what's necessary to survive. I think.
And that's kind of where like reading the scripts like more and more, and like, as I got the time to, like I originally thought this was a story about like family and like father and like children relationship. Actually, like to me, and this is just me personally, I always thought more and more it was about Lauren and about how Lauren comes through it, and then meeting Nadia and then seeing what she did and then seeing a few rushes and then working with her, it became more and more clear to me that it doesn't matter. I mean, every film is subjective to how you view it, but for me, this film is actually about Lauren, and I just want to give props to Nadia for smashing it, literally.
There's no other final girl we'd rather have on that film. No one in the world that deserves that more than her.
But I don't care. Like maybe I read that. Like I think other people can read into that maybe more slowly as they watch it more and more. Maybe if it's then more of a male audience, but. Just like I'm quite boyish, so I'm reading it as both men and females. I read it and it was Lauren all the way for me. So yeah, go Nadia.
Cheers, guys.
The funny thing is the script it's not solidly like here's the lead.
Exactly. I would never say that.
And it was funny when we gave I think a lot of actors, no offense to them, they're doing what they do, but like they're very much like.
I'm lead.
I think there's about 5 people on this film that got the script and they're like, I'm the lead.
Oh.
Yeah, man. just like everyone was like, I'm the lead. It's like,
I'm just
what even is that word? Lead?
Right
yeah.
I love the Americans. They say star. I'm the star of this. Like people say, like we've got the stars of the show on, and I nearly melted when I heard that on the first podcast. Is that the star of the show, Neal Ward, coming on? Yeah, I've made it, Mum.
They say that to me. I'm like, oh, where are they?
Yeah, where's the stars? They're up there.
Also, I'm just going to point out, guys, that my name says Nadia Lamin. Okay, that is not my name. My name is Nadia Lamin. It is Lamin. This is a whole game that Richard played just before we started this podcast. I'm just going to make a funny little thing. So
her real name is Lemon.
She's moonlighting as a mixologist in a very smoky cocktail bar, and she's very good with citrus. Tip her, but the whole lemon thing plays into because she's from Lebanon.
American podcast we've got on, and they've just called her Nadia Lemon, so I'm like, why not? That's your name now.
And then afterwards they go, I hope I pronounced that right. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Potato,
Oh my god. This movie goes on such a crazy journey from start to finish. I would describe like the first maybe even almost 20 minutes as like Hallmarkian, where like I would love to sit someone down and be like, I'm not gonna tell you anything about this, what it's called, what it's about, and we'll just see what you think. And like you have these moments of like a holiday family drama, like, oh man, what's it? Oh, they're gonna have to unpack all these things they're dealing with, and then like seeing when it takes that pivot into horror, but like, yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say that's what we keep saying. That's kind of our motto for the moment, which is why we're so adamant on not giving too much, if any, away, because if we think we feel the best way to go into this is if you go into this film blind, not expecting anything, not knowing what to expect, and I think that's what will trigger the most traumatic reactions from.
We were very tempted to do the first trailer in the style of a romantic comedy, just to throw people
wrong audience,
just to distract as many people as possible.
We should have done it, shouldn't we?
And then ask people for votes on the way out of the cinema, like, what did you think?
Yeah.
It's not too late. It's not too late. You can go for a little December like re-release respin on it. Maybe you can freak people out really bad. Yeah, we really go on that crazy journey, especially with Sam and Neal's characters. Where like first couple of minutes, you guys are almost playing two different characters throughout the film.
Yeah.
What kind of like headspace do you have to get in where it's like, okay, I'm going to start off the film this way, and then I'm going to be the polar opposite for the rest of the film?
I think my approach to it is completely different to Sam's. I know she takes a serious approach to it, whereas I just have to fumble through it. I have no formal training, so to speak. So I know Sam used a lot of really clever techniques and really, really good things to draw upon. Myself,
You say clever, but have you met me?
Yeah. For me, for approaching that, when you see that on paper, that you're two different characters essentially. You're a very naturalistic, normal guy, boy next door kind of thing, just sort of having a whale of a time with his partner in the film. There's not much you have to really do for that. It's just I'm quite nice and normal in real life, so just I play a lot of me for that. It's just me just being nice, and I do a lot of the things that Adam had actually written in the script with my partner, and little things that I do that would mean a lot to them, not just here's a box of chocolates, here's your favorite album for Christmas, here's this. I do think about the things that mean something to someone. So playing Jack in that element was quite. I just draw upon those moments that I've already have and already do in my life. But for Jack, post orb, so should we say? I literally just heighten everything of like the sadisticness in my life, I suppose. And I always say on these podcasts, it's like a Tom Hardy approach with Legend. He does one brother very much Tom Hardy-ish, and then he heightens the second character. He heightens the other brother, like to the point of caricature. So I suppose I was going in with a caricature element because there's not much you can do with my dialogue in the second half of the film. It's mainly rhythms and beats I use just to make things sound good, with also the intensity. I use just the eyes and stuff and the 3-point mark and an acting technique, and I just hammer that at poor old. He sheds a couple of tears during that, and she does. So rhythms and beats and heightened intensity and stuff that would just generally unsettle anybody, really. I just, that's my way of dealing with that. But onto Sam's legitimate techniques for the theatre and film world.
You say legitimate techniques just when our camera falls off wonk. No, I mean, I don't think anyone's techniques should ever be considered illegitimate. I'm just going to say that from here. And I'm from Essex. I don't know if any of you guys over there know what that is, but I'm far from posh. So, but no, just coming around to what you were asking about the performance and how we approached it and stuff. So yes, there are two well, sort of like two halves to the same character with Jack and Lucy. So the first part is well for Lucy is she's very, very excitable. She's happy. She's home for Christmas. She's explained in the text as like a Christmas puppy. She's just excited to have the holidays coming up. And as we mentioned before, I had quite a limited time with the script and generally everything. So for me the big focus was getting to grips with the initial character, because once you have that, then you know where to go. And yeah, so going on the puppy element, so like anything that ever happens, it's like squirrel. and then but it's sometimes, and it's a short scene, but there's also she's intelligent. She's a school teacher. She's just had a promotion. She knows what she's doing. She very, very much loves her partner Jack, but she does have the control. So there's all these flighty elements, but there's also the grounding there. So it's kind of like, oh my god, can we go shopping? No, why? You know, and it's kind of that the chop and change of hang on, wait, and it's not like she's controlling, but she knows that she holds, like, I don't know if you have this saying there, but she sometimes wears the trousers. Yeah. But it's in a nice way, and I think they have a lovely dynamic, and obviously they both care about each other enough to get each other nice presents, and they both care enough about each other's interests so that they get the neighbors presents, and they both accidentally get the neighbors the same presents, and that's kind of really cool. But I think a lot of people actually do that when, you know, a lot of the time. And then when the change happens, for me, I think apart from one scene after that, Lucy really doesn't say anything. Like, she really doesn't say anything apart from a few words here and there. She doesn't really have anything else to say apart from that one scene. So after that, it was very, very much more movement based, which sounds obvious, but actually when you really look into it, I can't really talk about the movement without giving away spoilers.
I think you can talk about them.
Okay, so it's as if you're a tiny person, and you're sitting in the back of someone's head, and you're trying to control this body, and you don't know how it works, but you're trying to look as natural as possible. So you imagine being someone. It's like in the Matrix, Revolutions, when they're in those big bots, where there's the people in those things that walk along and shoot all the sentinels, and they have this really unnatural movement. It's kind of like that, because you're controlling something that isn't your own body, but you're trying to look as natural as possible, and you're just trying to mimic things around you, and all you can do is just, your eyes are like lenses. You just take in everything, and then you sort of mimic it, and you try to mimic it as naturally as possible, but it doesn't always really work. Hence why she's really creepy. But I think, like, I guess that, like, I'm not being all like literal, but like, eyes are your window to your soul, but also if someone's controlling your brain, your eyes are your lenses. So anytime you move, your eyes have to go first, and that sometimes just, and it sounds really simple, but having that just really informs your movement, because suddenly you realize how limp your shoulders are when you just do you know what I mean? Like, and it's that kind of informs everything that you do. And when you suddenly realize how inefficient the movement of humans is, then you can suddenly try and do it as a foreign entity trying to control a body. And then you suddenly realize how cold she can be. And I always felt that Lucy's entity was perhaps a lot older than Jack's. So I think she's forgotten much more how it is to be a human.
Yeah, that was something I was going to point out. Is it's when people create a villain, it's based on looks or what they're saying, but it's rarely based on movement. And yours and Neal's movement it terrified me. Like when Neal is just standing in the doorway to the bedroom that Nadia's in, like I was just like, Jesus Christ, like what the fuck is happening? Like this is like I had like goosebumps. I was just like, the fuck is happening? Go ahead.
It's nice. It's nice you pick up on that, because there's quite a few things that I know Richard has said that he likes the little things that I do within that, from when I was sat with him during a couple of the days of editing process. And it's like when I go into the garage for the first scene, and when we go over to the house, I have like my back is sort of like slightly bent over, which is an unnatural stance, which I didn't even realize I was doing. But then there's other things that really sort of marry up really nicely, even with the gun and the fingers and the abnormal face movements. They were all consciously done to for this thing that's taken over, to be unaware of what's going on. And Lucy, Sam does it really well with the onions and those kind of moments, and just that, how are you? All those kind of moments are these things trying to get used to what they've got to work with. But that's not giving too much away, I hope.
Yeah, it's like we spent ages learning how to act, and now we've had to learn how to unact.
I had to unact and do these things.
Like, please be the least natural you can ever be. Okay.
Yeah. And there's so many elements of Jack post-orb, I'm going to call it, of the talking, the jaw movements, even the just unable to deal with emotion and where to play them. There's a brilliant line that it's kind of an in-joke, but it's kind of a not an in-joke, with what Adam's written in the hallway with Nadia. The what? Like, we've got that in like one of our hip hop grime Mickey take things, and Adam says it at the end of one of our songs, and it sort of I always had that in my head and I couldn't shake it. So, but there's just abnormal moments where Jack just goes.
I picked on a few moments where like you almost like are playing a game with her, where you kind of repeat what she says back to her, like the what line. I think there were a couple others, but it was so creepy, and I just loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Oh mate, thank you, man. Yeah, it was Adam was pushing that one.
You get worked up over nothing. I love that line. Afterwards, just
the what? Which one?
After everything that's just happened, it's like the worst thing that could possibly happen. And he's like, there's no need to get worked up over nothing.
Worked up over nothing.
What? I'll tell you why that just that one. That's probably thinking about it. One of the points that I find most scary in the film, because I have a huge fear of not being in control of my thoughts and certain things and phobias and this, that, and the other. And like for me, like lack of control is terrifying. And like that one point where Nadia or Lauren goes, what? And Neal goes, what? To me, that's for a split second. The way I see that is that the entity or whatever sort of takes a breather and chills for a sec, and you get the real Jack is like, what? And then bam, and he's like, nope, fucking come back here, I'm taking over you again. And that to me is really fucking scary. Really scary.
It makes me feel like a smart viewer, because that's what I got out of it. Is like, it was like Jack and the entity kind of like battling each other. Jack actually is able to kind of gain control of his body for a moment, and he's really confused about what's happening in the moment. Like the idea of not knowing if it was the entity just like playing like a game, or if it was Jack really coming forward and being like confused, like it made it all the more terrifying. So I feel like such a smart viewer, just like
You are, man. Yeah.
But it speaks to the performances.
So nuanced.
Yeah, exactly. It speaks to the performances that you're able to communicate that to the film without ever blatantly saying it, without having a character, without having like Nadia's character question it or anything like that. Like, it never has to be said out loud. It's communicated just through the physical performance, and that's so remarkable. I think there's you get all of that just from seeing it happen.
Well, like I was saying earlier, with the the styles that we take on and what I usually play, it's usually ultra realism kind of stuff, like the This Is England kind of ultra real gritty stuff anyway. So I quite versed in that kind of performance anyway. So I'd like to add that in, even though this is a horror film, and there's these moments of Jack's post-orb being this entity that has something to say, that's very methodical and whatever. But I also have to bring that element of naturalness and ultra realism into it, just because otherwise it just becomes a performance rather than an actual existence of a character going on. And again, that's what I think we all do very well. Like Frank Jakeman, who plays Michael, he does a lot of that, and I've worked with him before, and it's that real
very much more
to
relatable.
what's being said. Yeah, you can't. Everyone's seen films where it feels like it's a performance. I mean, you need a performance, but if you can nail a performance with the element of naturalism in there, like the Joker or things like that,
any audience will always like it.
Yeah,
and
you've got to relate.
You made a really good point when we were in Seachers, and obviously it was a foreign audience, but I think on the second night, Nadia, you said the audience cheered at some point, which we never expected, and you were like, it's because they see Frank, and to them Frank is dad, and like the Spanish love the family aspect, and they love seeing like Big Dad come through.
The other nuances and little things which I love how you guys performed it was that it almost takes time for the demons or the orbs to get a grasp of the world that they're in through the bodies of these people. So when they come in, they're kind of a bit disorientated and trying to work out the way the world works from these eyes, because the way they experience it as an orb is nothing like it from a human body, which is kind of the how are you kind of, is that what I say? Like, and the cutting the onions, she just grabs the knife by the blade, and she's just like, just what do I do here? And a lot of that, I think it comes across as kind of weird and creepy, but a lot of the intention behind a lot of what they do is just figuring out how humans live their lives. Do you know what I mean? And so,
it's
some
like
people get a problem with putting them to bed, and that's a bit weird and a bit awkward. And it's like, well, they're kind of thinking this is what you do now. Well, this is go and do that. And isn't this right for your life? And kind of, but also toying with them and kind of. So it's kind of them exploring life, and the more they kind of are inhibiting these bodies, the more control they have, and the more aggressive they become. Yeah. And kind of, do you know what I mean? And I think you guys kind of pulled that off really well.
Oh,
absolutely. And I would love to hear a little bit about maybe what the psychology going into the visual element of this is, because what we know, even if you haven't seen the film, you could probably get from this conversation that this is a film in some respect about demonic possession or paranormal possession. But I feel like visually, how it's portrayed is not in a way that I've really seen before, whether we're talking about the orbs or some sort of underground sort of earthly element. And then again, even I won't say specifically, but even going to the final shot of the film, this doesn't look like your run-of-the-mill like Exorcist movie or anything like that. So I'm curious where. I mean, I of course there's the story that Adam perhaps maybe hunting down blue light in the backyard.
But I think that kind of took from Adam's story, what I got from that, because he loves possession films. We wanted to do like a home invasion kind of thing, so we kind of settled on the possession thing quite early. But I think there's a line in the Bible that says that demons will come as angels of light, which is the line that Lucy has. And I'm like, this is a really interesting take that I've never seen before, is actually representing demons by entities of light. Do you know what I mean? And so that's kind of where that came from, and made kind of almost a sci-fi vibe out of it, rather than the kind of the priest and the holy water kind of vibe that we've seen so many times.
Yeah.
Which let's face it, I mean, we're sick of the whole priest with a holy water film.
Yeah, that's something so refreshing because
What,
you
the
know
holy
you
water
do
or
get
not
these.
having it?
It's so overdone, man. And I may
like these cliched movies where it's always like a priest and a demon and
yeah,
like
it's
exorcist.
just so
Does it burn?
overdone. Like I grew up watching these films, and it was great at the time, and absolutely loved. Well, I loved them, and I still do, man. I've still got a huge love for The Exorcist, but more because of how they made the film and how they stuck to just practical effects and stuff, and how much it affected people back then, which was like almost a decade before I was born. Do you know what I mean? Like, almost 2 decades before I was 73. I was born in 88. Like, and yeah, but it's just so overdone. I don't think I've seen one movie in so long in most of my life, and I'm 32, damn. But yeah, like in my life that I've gone, yeah, that's a cool film, man. It's like, oh, it's a nun, and it's evil, and there's a graveyard, and someone falls into a grave, and there's a book in the grave that says, oh, here's what you need to do. It's like, no, man, like my favorite film to come out in the last like 2 years or whatever is Hereditary, and I've seen it 8 times, 8.5 because I fell asleep the 9th time. But like, it's that I may have a lot of like the supernatural influences and stuff from my childhood, but like it's all about those psychological horrors, and it's I think that's a vibe that both Rich and I had like so like, and Nadia herself was saying as well, like so like get so engrossed in, because there's so many layers to them, and the horror is used to just elevate that story and really emphasize the horror of what's going on the surface, and that is very real, whether it's manipulation or someone's betrayed someone or whatever, but you use that element of
and that's actually
horror and it's terrifying, and if it's used right, you know.
There's 3 films in like the last 10 years that have affected like how I can fall asleep at night, and those are It Follows, Hereditary, and it's now Hosts.
Oh, amazing!
Like, for real.
Holy shit!
Like,
really?
like Hosts really fucked me up, and I watched it in the like mid-afternoon. Like it fucked me up. Like,
dude,
like I couldn't eat. Like it affected me. Like I was cleaning. Like it affected me throughout the day. Like. There's 3 films in the last decade that have done that to me, and you're in those 3. And the way you've been able to take like a genre and do something new with it and make it still affecting and like actually scary, like it blew my mind. Like my jaw was like, my mouth was open the whole time. Like as soon as that dinner scene, like I was just like, what the fuck is happening? Like it really like affected me. So like props to everybody involved, you guys, like everybody else that wasn't able to make it on the show. Like you guys are fucking brilliant.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Do you know what kind of? Yeah, that's amazing. Like it gets increasingly harder to create original content and create something that's not been done before, because from when it all started being pioneered back in the day to where we are now, it's hard to not have an influence. And it's just good that Rich and Adam have such great influences to have put that into their film. And there's nothing wrong with taking from like The Exorcist and Hereditary and things like that, because that's what's made you the person you are, and Adam as a director and Rich as a director, and Adam the way he's written and Rich the way he's DOP'd it. It's all influence. It's not plagiarism at all anywhere. It's all influence. And if you make something that other people nod to and go, it's like Funny Games, it's like this, it's like that, and that's all we have to look from. And I think it's like to amalgamate so many very good films together and put across something that they've done. we're just, as actors, privileged to be a part of it because it starts with them, and the next one and the things that they do all grows from all those experiences and those films. So, and for you to have that reaction to the film, I'm sure I speak for everyone. That's ridiculously like, thank you, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
And like I said, I'm like pretty desensitized, so like it came as a surprise to me to be like so affected by it, because like I went into it watching one trailer and like knowing very little about it, because I like going into horror films like that. We had talked about it previously on like our 31 horror films to watch in October, and you guys were on it, and that was like at the top of my list to check out. And so when I watched it, knowing very little about it, I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like,
wow, thank you, man. That's
I won't stop singing your praises for like forever. Like 10 years from now, I'll probably still being like need to check out host. Like, we need to fucking check this movie out.
Every Christmas, it's a new Christmas movie.
This will be my Christmas movie. Like, I'll go to family Christmases. Like, we're gonna watch Host. Like, this is what we're
right after Home Alone.
This will be my Christmas story.
Yeah, it just proves that you don't need millions of pounds to make something that can affect people.
Yeah, exactly.
If you set out with the right people,
we will take them.
Yeah.
I'd take doing Host 2 over any £1 million film. Do you know what I mean? Like, it becomes not about the money. I know that it sounds terrible, but we all need money, but it's not about that for us. And for what the guys did with the money they had, and how it's been received, and what they've achieved, and what we've all achieved as a cast and crew, it's to get those comments and those kind of things is what you make films for. You don't make films for the money unless you're a complete idiot. Well, you need to pay for your family and stuff like that, but you to get that response from people like yourselves is what we do it for, really. And doing these podcasts and talking to people is the best thing. It's the best feeling I've had in a long time. Being an actor,
it's an amazing feeling for us, because like these are two guys that just love horror, and like we love your movie. So like, having people from a movie we loved actually want to like actually come on our show and talk about it with us is just like, holy shit, like, this is. But
we feel the same. Like, people want to speak to us about a crappy movie we made in this house.
Yeah.
We get all these reviews through, and every review that's come through, I know that me, Richard, and Adam send these reviews through to each other. I search the internet like a really sad person that Googles their own name. I'm like, I search through just to see what people are saying about it, and then every person I find, or any review I find, or Rich finds, or Adam finds, we send it through to each other, and we personally find those people out and thank them for just even watching the film, because you guys may sit there and go, we've got the stars of the show and the directors and the stars talking to us, but we're also like, shit, someone randomly in Ohio wants to talk to us. Like, Mum, I've made it, man. Mum. And it means just as much. I mean, if I was Christian Bale sat here, I probably wouldn't be doing this podcast, but that's because Christian Bale's a dick. I hope that in 10 years' time, when I'm Christian Bale level, I'll still be doing these kind of things, because it's what makes us what we are. So again,
I do want to go back to Rich. You said the movie was shot in your home?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. And the composer's house. So Jack and Lucy's house was the composer's house, and then the rest of the film was shot here. We redecorated the whole house for the film.
So how do you? Was that pretty hectic? Because me and Taylor shot like our short film in his house, and I know his mom was like very, very upset, because there's a scene where we like pretty much just like flipped furniture upside down. There were papers everywhere, like water leaking out of like a fridge. Like it was.
Did
hectic.
you die?
No, I was. She was very unhappy with me.
Yeah.
I will never be able to convince. I'll never be able to shoot anything at my mom's house again. That's for certain.
Luckily, I have my own house now, so any future short films we shoot or any films we shoot, we can shoot in my place because I don't give a shit.
You say that.
No, I truly don't give a shit because I'll just have a few beers and
well, you say that, but then I remember day 3 where Rich came out, and it was day 3, but it was actually night 3. And Rich came out and he was like, "Hey Sam, how you doing?" I was like, "Okay, do you want a cup of coffee?" He was like, "Yeah." So what's wrong? He was like, "Well, you guys don't have to stay here, but my house is a crime scene and I have to live in it."
So it was pretty hectic. It was a nightmare basically.
We still find blood, and it's been a year. So
oh my god,
yeah,
that was tough, man. But one of the funnest experiences was just the build up to it. Like me and Rich just spent what was it, 2 months maybe, give or take, just preparing his house and re-wallpapering, re-carpeting, building set pieces together and stuff. And Rich teaching me how to be a carpenter because I'm terrible, but just building stuff together and putting floorboards in the attic and stuff, and just spent so long turning it into this hell house that I just love.
My wife did not like that corridor wallpaper. She was like, "This is horrific." The lounge still looks the same. I've been able to keep that exactly how it is in the film.
Were the antlers yours?
No, they're actually Frank, the dad. So Michael, we were talking to him we'd love some stuff to put on the walls, like taxidermy and stuff, because we just want this feeling of death in this house.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I'm a taxidermist, so I've got loads." And he turned up to act with boxes of dead animals, and we were like, "Yes."
As soon as he walked in front of the antlers, I was like, "He's fucking dead." He has antlers around his head. It's a dead animal. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Oh no, Neal, I think you got muted somehow.
Neal, you're muted.
There we go.
My thing fell off the bottom of my mic, which is never happened before. There we go. Yeah, no. Frank's antlers took out a few of us on set whilst we were filming. So if you look, the antlers are at eye height. So when I ran out of or walked out of rooms, it was ow shit. So they took out a couple of us. So
that was Franklers.
Franklers.
So everyone just learned to shut your eyes for a while.
Were there any more injuries while shooting? I think there was an injury with Neal, right? There was an injury with Neal.
So
let's hear about that.
Hold on, just to make sure this is working there, because I've got a wonky thing that doesn't work. Right, okay. So there was an injury with me. It was all my own fault, just for legal reasons. I basically, in that scene at the end, obviously, again, without spoiling, there's a 12-inch knife involved. And obviously, to shoot that scene with, obviously, Frank and Michael in the scene, we shot with just a knife handle with some foam sticking out with the bottom of where the knife would be, and then Rich did all the crazy CGI work. But yeah, that was a handle and the crazy motion whilst Frank's there going, and then obviously it comes to the actual sort of gory part where we had a torso in, which had obviously shirt, blood bags, foam, dense foam. So I'm having to stick a 12-inch knife, 12-inch knife into a torso to give the same effect, to give the real special effects rather than the S effect, the CGI. So I'm trying to stick this knife in, do this thing, and it's been a long day, and it's been about God knows how many hours, 18 hours. The sweat pouring off me because doing it with a foam knife, just a handle, you can get the crazy look to it. But then trying to match that when Rich is sort of down here with the camera going, right, you need to be quicker. we're all sort of there and trying to nail this shot, and I just lose coordination and drift off for a second and just bang, stick that 12-inch knife straight in the leg, straight in the thigh.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I think the words were, fuck, it's in my leg, it's in my leg, it's in my leg. And then Rich is just sort of down there with the camera going, all right, then cut. And then like I'm just like trousers off, pants in America, pants off, like blood just pissing down my leg all over his carpet, and which adds to the other blood and the whatever. I'm like, oh my god, and then like the producers and the first ADs take me into the office, which is where Rich is sat now. Pants around my ankles, looking great as always, with my leg up on a chair. And then Adam comes in, bless his little face, comes in and just holds my hand and looks me in the eye and goes, I love you, man. You okay? And I'm like, yeah. We need to get that shot, man. We need to go back and get the shot. Rich needed another angle. And he's like, nah, man, it's fine. We're going to go to the ER, man. We're going to ER. No. Yeah. But
thank God you're okay, because I mean now you can do more stuff. Because I truly can't wait to see what you guys like. Everybody does next. Like, this movie made such an impression on literally all of you, where I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Whether it's together, which fingers crossed. I hope it's together because you guys were amazing, like doing something all together. But even if it's just like independent projects you guys do on your own, like I can't wait to see what you guys do next.
That'd be great. I'm delivering Amazon packages from Monday, so
no, it's
true, man.
It's true. Neal was joking, about being Christian Bale, but the thing of it is, like, I really, after coming away from this film, I really got the sense of like, these are actors who are going places. These are writers who are going places, directors who are going places, cinematographers going like you guys, like this is. I really sense this is only the start, and like I'm gonna be looking back on this and be like, hey, remember when Christian Bale was on my podcast? You know what I mean? Like,
like when you guys do like the next like I have a feeling this is gonna be big when it really hits like Host. Like, I know we talked about that before, but I really feel like this is gonna like this is gonna hit. And we're gonna look back on this and be like, "Holy shit, we had these guys on our podcast!" Like, we're just starting out, and we had these guys on our podcast, and like, I don't know, it's like euphoric. Like, I really can't wait to see what you guys do next, because I'll be honestly following all of your guys' like stuff, just waiting for the next thing.
Oh, if you want some stupidity, we've got a year's worth of YouTube idiocity.
Oh god, yeah, we've got a grime band as well. We've got me, Rich, and Adam do grime music, bro. Piss take grime music.
I'll be listening to that. I'll fucking listen to that.
We'll send it, man. We'll send it.
So me and Adam kind of started a YouTube channel, kind of talking about cinematography, but we kind of took joy in not taking it seriously at all, and lots of people got heavily offended by that because we just took the mick, and people probably came to learn something. And we just kind of took the mick and wound people up, and it was just fun. Every week we'd have a stupid short film at the end that we'd do, and it was always ridiculous. And it's kind of how we funded the film, because we realized that we got quite, got like not a lot, but 4,000 subscribers. And we were like, well, we're struggling to find investment for this. We don't want to do the crowdfunding thing where, the director goes, look, we can sell you a pebble I rubbed on my ass for. Do you know
what poster with my face on it?
You get a load of tap for nothing for money, and it's like, I don't want to do that, man. And like, the director walks away.
Picks for dollars.
Going, yeah, thanks, guys. Look, and everyone's like, well, we paid for that, and they get nothing.
But I want the pebble that you rubbed on your eye.
And he's exposing.
So we want to do something slightly different, which I'm not sure has been done before, which is we did the crowdfunding thing on YouTube, but we didn't offer kind of tap. Well, we did actually on one of these. We did what we called the Dark Fable-a-thon, which was a 12-hour live stream, and we sold off memorabilia, which people wanted from the channel. But the main thing we offered was investment. So whoever kind of gave specific amounts that we'd set out, they became investors, and they share the same profits that we do off the film. So if the film's a big success, they get a lot of money out of it, and that's kind of what we wanted. And because so many people kind of, like I said, they'll raise the money, and none of those people get anything out the back end of it. And I think that's just, in my opinion, I'd feel very guilty doing that. So that's kind of how it came about. But yeah, we've got a lot of stupid videos on there. I mean, Adam gives birth to me in one of the episodes, if you want to have a look at that.
Well, I'll be fucking watching that.
There's plenty there to watch, man. There's a year's worth of content there that just
that's really how me and Taylor started out. Is we just made stupid shit for class in college, and we ended up just getting like we made something so stupid and we got an A on it, and we were genuinely surprised. It was about lizard humans. We were so surprised we got an A on it. It was like mocking.
Okay, so imagine that, but shot with a really nice camera.
We made this shitty on purpose. Like we were looking at like ancient
imagine
aliens,
that, but shot on a very nice camera.
Yeah. So like it's awesome that like just messing around can birth something that like is being talked about so highly. Like you guys are on like a lot of top 10 lists, top 50 lists, like a lot of like top horror movie lists to look out for, and top like talents to look out for. So
look at that. Yes, Taylor.
That to being on like top horror movies of the year, it must be like, did you think when you were giving birth to him, like, like we're gonna make something so amazing that like people are gonna be talking about this?
I technically didn't give birth. Rich almost gave me a C-section in this.
Oh God!
Yeah, so
it's pretty grim.
It's almost as grim as the host.
I can tell by Sam's reaction that like it's pretty. Fucked.
Are you watching it?
I'm just remembering it now.
Taylor's. Can we premiere it on the channel? Can you play it on the channel?
We can. We can put it on the channel. We can share.
Give me a moment to kind of look.
Either that or our grime hip hop thing.
I was going to say there's so much nicer things you could put on there, but okay, let's go.
We're gonna give the birthing on the.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the birth thing is great. Do it.
What's the title of the birth?
It's I think it's called Baby Rich.
Yeah, the birth of Baby Rich or something.
Okay.
I gotta say, this is my favorite episode we've ever done.
Dude, we'll come back next week.
Guys.
I could do this all month, man. Whilst I'm delivering Amazon packages, going, I'm an actor, you know. Hey, I do acting.
Hey, we were on Really Scared, this horror podcast you've never heard of.
Yeah, check out Really Scared. Check it out.
I've got the link for you here.
Oh, did you send me the link? Okay,
this
great.
Is brilliant.
Oh, Born Again, actually. Sorry.
Born
Again. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Let me see if I can
premiere this and see what you're
For
saying.
audio listeners, you're going to want to go to YouTube and look up Born Again.
Dark Fable Media. It's Dark Fable Media, isn't it, boys?
We're sorry about what you're gonna watch, but it's needed.
I'm gonna try to pull. I'm getting there. I'm gonna try to pull the audio for it too, if I can. We'll be able to hear it answer.
It's not called. I mean, the thumbnail is called Born Again, but the actual title of the video file itself is called The Most Disturbing Film You Will Ever Watch.
Okay.
Well, there you go. There you go.
From host.
The most disturbing film you'll ever watch.
Yeah, but you'd probably have to write Dark Fable Media as well, so it picks.
Okay, I think.
There's probably some. You know.
You're going to have to do another episode next week to talk about this film that you're going to watch.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
Jessica.
Here we go.
Oh, what are we doing?
We're watching it. We're watching the most disturbing film you'll ever watch.
Here we go.
Let's see. You should be able to hear it here.
Oh.
It's just coming through my microphone, so it won't sound great.
We haven't got anything.
Oh, wait, can you not see it? You can see it. Okay.
We have, but we
See
can't.
it? No sound.
Can't hear the audio.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Can you mute us?
If I do, would you like me to?
Yeah, mute us.
How did you do that?
It's with the ball, isn't it?
Did you just push it from the
Just went like.
Wow!
Oh my god!
Every
Right,
single
so
video
we
on
had
that
some
channel is
technical
similar to that.
difficulties. There was no audio, but if you're listening, we watched the most disturbing film you'll ever watch.
Did you not hear it?
No, there was no audio
we
after
should've-
like
you muted
the
it,
first
though.
minute.
Sorry.
But
Because I muted myself and it was coming through. God damn it!
you son of a
That's
bitch.
all good.
Do it again.
Oh, the music was so good. I'll have to go back
Please
and
don't.
I'll figure it out. I'll make it. I'll fix it in post.
Yeah, we'll share each other's like terrible films after.
I think Jessica.
Our films are terrible. Your films are probably great. Our films are
Jessica's
terrible.
awesome. Oh man,
But we'll share them after.
It's about 4 days old when we shot that, so we used my baby for that.
I'm noticing a weird through line with you guys and hammers. What's the fascination here?
We've just got a garage.
Brilliant. I'm going to be that. That's the rest of my night. That's the rest of my night is going through your videos and seeing what else you've made there because that's brilliant.
The guys asked me to come in and guest. I think Nadia's been on a couple of episodes as well, but the guys asked us to come in and do a guest sort of spot for their thing on the episodes. And I ended up having to play this sort of like really chavvy like Batman thing from like England, yeah. So like man called Nigel in it. I basically sold like drugs, but they weren't drugs, they were like lights and stuff, yeah, like curlies and stuff. And then we ended up making a grip hop. Is it called? Is that what we're called? Grip hop, hip hop / grime, grip hop, and we've released two songs on Spotify and iTunes. So and we've got 2 videos for them. Yeah, don't call me Nigel, blood. Yeah,
Yeah, you might find us with quite different characters on the channel, and we're quite irritating, but it's kind of all meant to be a bit ridiculous.
Apart from the guy that saws his friend in half to get a baby.
Characters, there's other ones that we love, like where Adam plays a model that advertises ridiculous products.
Oh my god!
There's an Easter egg in Hosts of Adam in the giant handbag called Trollop advert. So after the news, you see a snippet of that advert on the telly in Hosts.
That is going to be my favourite thing like I've ever seen these guys do with like the fake adverts. It's just
we'll have to do that eventually, like whenever we make a movie, because that's ultimately what we want to do. I mean, we love talking about movies. I mean, when we were in school, we just loved talking about movies we loved, and that's where this kind of podcast came out of. Is we just loved. We would end up talking about movies for hours, and we're like, why aren't we doing a podcast about, like, why aren't we actually doing something with this? We're talking for hours, like we actually have something to say, and like we've made like so many stupid things. So like that's just amazing that like something can come out of that, like just messing around, making like shorts, and then you make a movie that people like are talking about, that are on so many lists of like, you need to check this out. Like this movie is insane. Like you need to check this out. Like it's just inspiring that something can come from that. Just from the like love of just making content.
Yeah, it blew us away because like we've made these stupid videos and didn't really think much of it, and then to go from that to like the New York Times saying, you know, this is crazy good.
Batshit crazy was their words.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's my like sentiments. Is this movie is batshit crazy? Like I won't get it out of my mind for years. Like I said, like It Follows and Hereditary are embedded in my brain. And now Hosts is embedded in my brain. Like I won't get it out of 10 years from now. I'll still be talking about like the first time I watched Hosts.
Dude, to be in your top 3 and to be next to Hereditary and It Follows is like a dream come true. Like that's
those are like memorable like first like watches. I saw It Follows in theaters, and like the giant like dude just like what the fuck is happening? And then Hereditary, like the whole movie. The whole film is what the fuck is happening? Like I am terrified. I don't know what's happening. It was the same thing with your movie Host. Like the whole time, like at first I was like, all right, this is going to be a slow burn. But like after I think it was like 25 minutes, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, oh my God. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where it was going, but I was so like embedded, but I was so like, this is going to fucking haunt me for years to come. Like I'm gonna be haunted to go to family gatherings. Like, it's just one of those movies that is gonna stay with me, and I just love movies like that.
I'm so sorry that you know it's brought on, you know, those traumatizing feelings for you, but I'm also extremely happy that it has.
I'm happy as well because like I just love movies that have that impact on me. Like that's why I watch movies, is for like a feeling, and like a resonance almost, and that's why I look for in films. And those are my favorite films, is that like impact me for years, like the rewatchability. Like I'm gonna be honest, I'm watching Host tonight. I watched it last night. I was very drunk. This morning I was very sober and I watched it fully. I restarted it and watched it. I'll be rewatching it tonight.
You need to get the DVD. I think you'll find that interesting because it's got 45 minutes making of on it, which I think you'll find interesting with.
All right, so I'm going to have to go out and buy the DVD or the Blu-ray, and I will do that.
We want Blu-ray.
I'm promising Do you have Blu-ray?
No, we
Not
want Blu-ray.
yet.
We
But
need
the
a
DVD
petition
comes out
to
on
get us Blu-ray.
November 11th in the States,
11th.
I think.
Well, I will be buying that, and that'll be in my collection, and I will be that'll be like a rewatchability. Like I'll revisit this film so often because it's just that good. Like,
Do you know what, dude? We'll
singing
when it comes out in England, we'll get a DVD together. We'll all sign it and send one over to you guys because yeah.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
We'll do that, man.
Not
that will make anything from a Amazon delivery guy. Do you know what I mean? but your collection,
I don't want you guys
we'll all do
to think that we're just like bowing down to you because you came on our show. Like, we really love your film. Like,
it means a lot, man.
We've reviewed a lot of films since I think May is when we kind of picked this back up, and like, this is by far my favorite movie we've watched, and we've reviewed quite a few, and this movie is by far my favorite because it's gonna stick with me. It's in those top movies that are just gonna stick with me. I revisit It Follows and Hereditary quite often, and this is, one of those that I'll revisit often, and I'm gonna have the same feeling as the first time I saw it. I'm gonna be like, holy shit, like, I remember the first time I saw this and it's the same feeling.
I don't think Minor Adams hats are going to fit in a minute. It's getting a bit tight.
I keep saying,
door looks a little small behind you.
But I'm like, hey, I'm horrible, but thanks.
There you go, Neil.
No, you're not horrible, because when you put that tooth out, I texted Taylor and I was like, I'm going to ask Sam to pull my tooth out as well. That was just an amazing scene. Like, I loved all that.
Can we say about the teeth?
Yeah,
do the teeth story. Yeah, do the teeth story.
Oh
no!
Did I spoil something that I wasn't supposed to?
No. It's all good.
Okay.
It's all good.
Oh, man. Tell the story, man. Tell it.
No, we're not.
No,
that's fine.
Tell the story.
No.
Tell the story.
Tell the story.
Tell the story. The guys are
okay.
Why not? Tell the story.
Oh no.
Years ago. No.
Years ago.
So there was a scene.
Lived in a big bright house.
You sound just like me. So there is a scene where I sort of interrogate. I'm still trying not to spoil things, but I'm interrogating one of the younger ones of the family, and we're in a separate room, and I tell him a story which is a little bit cryptic. So like a lot of people thought it was a poem, but it's kind of a story, but it's told in a very strange way. You know the one that I'm talking about, the whispering one. So it's on the trailer. Sitting there. And she pulls out a pair of pliers, and she, pulls out a couple teeth.
Yeah.
Gives them as a present. Those are my actual teeth.
What?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Literally.
Exclusive.
They are my actual teeth.
So we Sam read the script, right? And when she got to that part, she came to me and said,
makeup first, because I think that's funny.
Okay, so Kate Griffiths, who did like all the makeup and prosthetics for hosts.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Fucking
she did Wolverine as well.
Yeah, like fucking phenomenal at what she does. She's so good. And she'd gone and made these two teeth for that particular scene. Wisdom teeth.
They're quite big, aren't they?
Big, yeah. And she showed us and we were like, awesome, okay, that's cool. Sam reads the script, or that part of the script.
Well, it's actually on day 2 when I got to finish reading the script.
when she realized what that scene entailed and that she was doing that scene, she came up to us and she was like, I kind of have my wisdom teeth at home. Do you want me to bring them in? So me and Rich were like, yeah. Yeah, bring those in. And we were like, we said to Kate, Kate, we're so sorry, but we need to use the real thing here. So we're not going to use your fake teeth that you spent loads of time on. So the what you see in the actual film, they are Sam's wisdom teeth, which Connor's come back at the perfect time. He's just missed everything and just had the last bit there.
So I am pulling my own teeth out of my own mouth, and they are my own teeth that I put on my hand and give into Buddy's hand. I mean, everything was sterilized, but they are my own teeth that I put out of my face.
So you actually pulled them out, or they were pulled out prior?
Oh no, they
I was just
pulled out for the film.
It's method, right?
Yeah.
It was a method performance.
Yeah.
No Christian Bale here.
Close.
Right, don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me here. Were they actually pulled out on film?
Yeah, the guys basically set up a medical team.
I'd had my wisdom teeth removed quite a few years ago, but I got to keep them, right? And wisdom teeth are quite big, and you get them in a jar. You get to go home with them, and then when the anesthesia wears off, you're like, why the fuck do I want these? But my dad, he's an ex-surgeon, so it's still weird, but it's not quite as weird when you know that he's a surgeon. But he thought it would be really funny to hide them from me and then put them on a string and make them into a pretend necklace and give them back to me for Christmas one year. I know that sounds really sinister. My family's honestly it's a bit weird, but he honestly just meant it as a big joke, and he thought it'd be really funny because I was like, where have my teeth gone? And he was like, I don't know. Here you go, Santa Merry Christmas gave me a box, and there's a really shit necklace, which he borrowed my make-at-home necklace making kit that I'd had since I was 14, with gemstones on it, and he put my teeth on it and was like, there you go. And I was like, okay, it's really shit, but I kind of really
there you go.
Connor, what's this tooth you found? What?
Lucy's
I
tooth.
have a collection of. So my baby teeth were falling out, and my mouth was really fucked up as a child. So
Okay,
I think collectively between baby teeth and wisdom teeth, I've had almost 14 teeth pulled. So I have quite a few teeth collected from my own mouth. What's that?
You got a tiny piano in there. Don't worry, it wasn't funny the first time I went to say.
Yeah, pretty much. But I have quite a few teeth. But yeah, I'm in the same boat where I just collected my teeth. I don't know.
I just got the these ones, but it's just I'm glad that you understand, because then so halfway through shooting we had a day off to go home. And not go to sleep and then come back again. So Adam had an alarm set on his phone to go, remind Samantha to pick her teeth up.
And literally, I did. So she comes back with her wisdom teeth round her neck on this necklace, and took them off the necklace, and Sam used her two actual wisdom teeth in that scene. Those are her real teeth, which I am now the proud owner of, because she gave them to me as a gift, and I've got the necklace at home. And I'm never getting rid of it.
Can you put it on right now? Do you have it with you?
We're actually at Sam's at the moment, but it's at my place. I've got it at my place.
Yeah, we're isolating because COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Oh my god, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing this tooth stuff. Also, Connor, I didn't know. Have you had that trove of your teeth off screen? All these episodes, you've just been waiting for your chance to show.
Yeah, they've been in this room this whole entire time. But since I moved back here, it's literally 2 feet away. So I was like, this is the perfect moment to grab the box that my teeth are in.
They're all your own teeth, right?
Yeah, they're my own teeth.
Okay, just checking, because you said I kept you up at night.
Oh, rather.
Yeah, no, they're my own teeth. My baby teeth weren't falling out, and so I had to have, I think, 6 at a time. I had 6 pulled out at once, and then like three more weren't being pulled out.
Oh,
Or weren't falling
my
out.
mum had
I
that.
3 more pulled out.
oh bless
And then
you.
my wisdom teeth, I had 3 surgically removed. And that was an experience. So I think I have like 9 or 12 teeth in this box. That I just remembered about.
You never know when it's gonna come
Americans
in
ridicule us British for like our teeth. You have your teeth in a box.
Yeah,
Trying to build a child.
Yeah, I have a fucked up mouth. Like not only cussing, but like this teeth.
I have it the
and
same.
Like I went to like a concert once and I had like a tooth knocked back, and I had to have that removed, or like it.
Is that
I've just had bad luck with teeth.
Mosh.
Your
Exactly.
teeth are going out, so that's all good.
I got fucking laid out at a concert, just laid out. I blacked out, tooth knocked back. I ended up getting braces because of it, because I had the tooth pulled, and then I had a gap, so I had to get braces.
Connor,
So-
you've just made Samantha's tooth scene look like Bambi.
Yeah.
You
To be honest,
just
I
topped
also
it.
Bambi at the time.
I'm
Top
very
it.
accident prone. I thought I was very accident prone until I met my fiance. She like just recently like almost cut the tip of her thumb off.
Oh god.
So I had to like call off work to drive her to like the emergency care to get stitches. Like I thought I was bad.
Man. Okay, maybe you should get like a padded house.
Like yeah.
Or like-
Congratulations on the
in a-
engagement, though.
Yeah, write a film about it, Connor.
Thank
Write
you.
a film about it.
He needs
Tell you
a-
what, you get us green cards, we'll come over and film it in your house.
Seriously, you guys are invited. It's just one big party. We're not having anything big, just a big party.
Oh man.
Aw.
Yeah.
So you guys are definitely invited. I mean, I know it's
I
a
was-
long flight from England, but
I was saying to the guys, the other day that I think that if like anything comes of this film and we all make a bit of money from it, that I would do, instead of Route 66, I'd do Podcast 66 and go and meet everybody that we've spoken to.
Yeah.
In a
we'll
fat
do
black
a
Mustang.
podcast at my wedding. I'll say it right here. Like I'll do a podcast at my wedding.
That'll be fun.
I expect nothing less. Well, look, guys, I made a sort of a promise before we started that I didn't want to keep you up all night, and I would still like to kind of adhere to that.
Yeah.
But something Connor touched on earlier, Nick mentioned it in the chat, and I would love to kind of spin it to you guys, is the energy we kind of initially came to when this channel started and these podcasts started that we do on here, is to highlight filmmakers, hear from them, get their stories, and not only talk to them, but filmmakers and aspiring filmmakers, student filmmakers, actors, producers, watch the show. I mean, that's Connor and I. We're right in there trying to make it happen for ourselves too. I would love to hear, in any respect, from all of you, within your craft, do you have advice for aspiring actors, filmmakers, producers? What would sort of pearls of wisdom, perhaps, orbs of wisdom, perhaps, which you glean on people?
The best advice you can take is from Shia LaBeouf on a green screen saying, "Just do it! Make your dreams
Never ever stop doing what you want to do, man. And if anyone tells you that you can't do it, thank them for doing you a favor, for motivating you to keep fucking doing it in spite of them. And you'll do it. If there's something you want to do, and if you're that passionate about it, whether it's filmmaking, music, or if you want to be a lawyer, whatever it is, like, keep going, man. And filmmaking is what we've learned. It's all about problem solving. And any kind of obstacles that come your way, there's always a solution to them. It's just about not giving up and just keep going, man. And if you feel like, oh shit, we can't get the money to do this film, you'll find the money if you really want to, man. There's always, when there's a will, there's a way. It's the best advice I can give is just never give up. Always look for a way to solve the problem, because there is always a solution.
We know a lot of makers in the circles and friends of ours as well, so I don't want to kind of be too kind of dismissive, but we've known people that have kind of had scripts and stuff and spoken about they're going to make their film, they're going to make their film, they're going to make their film. They've been saying that since we've known them, and like, and they're kind of going, "What did you do? Because you wrote a script and made a film within 6 months." Do you know what I mean? And like, we just did it. We just did it, and there was nothing going to stop us. Like, we just did it, and that's my advice to anyone: stop making excuses. And stop telling yourself excuses, and stop saying "I can't because." Say,
I can't because I'm waiting for money. I can't.
It's just how do we get that? It's not I can't because it's how do we do that? And look at all the options for how to do that. And that's kind of the way we did it. And beg, borrow, steal, whatever you need to do to make whatever you want to do happen.
And on that note, like, what I would say is don't look at other people's successes and where you are out with them, despite what they're doing. Accept what they're doing, support what they're doing, but you're in your own path. And like, looking at other people isn't going to help, and it isn't going to make you any better. So, do your path and surround yourself with the right people. And if you have enough belief in yourself, in your talent, then, everything will fall into place.
And don't settle. That's something that me and Adam are very adamant about. Don't settle. Don't go, that wasn't quite what I wanted, but, we'll do. Or I'm tired, let's just wrap this up. Like, we went way over our schedule because me and Adam just kept saying, nah, this needs another take. Nah, we need to do it again. We need to keep getting this until it's exactly what we envisioned. I mean, it's not exactly what we envisioned, but it's as close as we could with the tools and the restrictions that we had. And I think that's really important. I've been on a lot of films where they're like, yeah, it's fine, just move on, like it'll do. It's like, it'll do is not good enough. Like, it has to be. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just going to kick yourself, and you're just going to be annoyed at yourself the other end and be gutted, and you've wasted that amount of time and that opportunity and that window to do your dream. Don't waste it. Just put your absolute all into it when you get that chance.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, I think also exactly what Rich is saying, but also from an acting point of view, if you're sat there going, oh, why am I not in that film with that person? Why am I not Christian Bale? Why am I not these people? Why am I not getting the same opportunities? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? The simple fact is you're asking why you're not doing it because you're not doing the things that you need to be doing. And don't worry about what you're doing. I've been doing this for 17 years nearly now. Since I was like 15, 14, 13. And I've always thought I've been good at it. And I always thought there might be a point that I'll get to in my life where I thought I'm not as good as I think I am for this. So why carry on? I always find a reason to carry on. And I always find a reason to do the same thing I've been doing, but just trying to better myself each and every time. Sometimes I'm lazy, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm not. I always put my all in. If I'm in front of the camera with the guys, if I'm with everybody else, when I'm on set, I do everything that I feel is best that I can do to the best of my ability. And if I'm sat there at the end of the film, if I sat at the end of host going, well, why am I not here now? Why am I not here? I wouldn't be getting anywhere. I wouldn't be progressively learning. So for 17 years thinking that it's never going to happen for me, for 17 years, I've still carried on doing it. So if you're not getting where you think you should be, stop thinking you should be somewhere. Live in the moment, do what you do, be honest and humble to everybody you work with, every director, every co-star, every cast crew member. Do not treat the crew like pieces of shit. You're not a star. Everyone on that set means as much as me, as Jack in the film, and as much as Sam as Lucy, and as much as Nadia in the film as Lauren. You don't get anywhere by ego. It doesn't take you anywhere. All right. And if you have a passion for something, keep going, because there will be a route around it. It may take 17 years. It's taken 17 years for me to be able to sit in a cinema and be proud of a film I've done. And I don't care who you are, what you've done, where the fuck you've trained, and how much money your mum and dad's got. You will not get anywhere in this world with a shit attitude. And you can put that fucking attitude in the bin and the sea. But find some friends that you fucking love, and find some friends that believe in you, and the sky is the limit. And you can keep going past the fucking sky like these guys did. The guys set the bar as the sky and went through to the fucking stars, and that's why Dark Sky picked up this film. That's why people around the world, while people like yourselves are watching us on these podcasts and talking to us and appreciating the work we've done, and we're back here appreciating the work that you do. So it's a big circle, man. And if you're in the little circle, don't worry about it, because what you need to do is break into the other circle. So do things with other people you don't know. Reach out, grab out, do whatever you can to better yourself and better other people around you, and you'll never fail. And if you do fail, pick yourself up. Stop moaning. Boom, Bill Hicks, motherfucker. That's the fucking bourbon talking, but it's truth nuggets.
I'm right there with you. Did anybody else want to chime in before we call it a night?
I guess I will say, like, firstly, I agree with all of you guys with everything that you've said so far. And I also want to say, probably on a bit more of a practical note, and this is, I didn't want to inflict on anything else that anyone says, because we often have like similar beliefs in going forward with stuff. But this is for anyone who's in the acting, producing, directing, writing, creative, even backstage, anyone in that kind of thing, anyone in the creative world that we live in. If you have a story or a situation or a thing that you think needs to be told or written down, just write it down and get it written and put a record of it somewhere, because you never know how long it might take you to finish writing that script, or how long it might take you to finish writing that book or that idea, or maybe that, you know, inspiration to give to someone else who can write a script about it. You have to get it down before it goes out of your head, because the most number of stories that go unheard are ones that go unwritten.
Totally.
Which sounds really obvious, but it's like, oh, I never heard that story. Why? Well, I never got told it. All right.
The beauty of it is now is that everyone's got a smartphone. You can just literally write everything. That's what we do.
And I've got tons and tons of things on my phone or my laptop that aren't finished, but at least I've got them there somewhere, so I know one day I'll finish them. I mean, I should get my bum in order and, like, you know, start doing it. But the other thing, so that's in terms of sort of film kind of things, in terms of writing script. In terms of theatre, it would be always be ready 5 minutes before your 5-minute call. The other thing in theatre would be always pee whenever you can, because you never know how late the audience is going to be.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. I've made that mistake before and it didn't go well.
hey, once you're on stage, you can't
Channa for women.
Right. That's my advice. Please,
That's true,
wait
though.
by the side of the stage for far too long, and then write stuff.
That's just a life rule. Pee when you can.
That was me prior to this podcast. I disappeared for a little bit. So
both disappeared with little moments of
my
peas.
breaks. One, my cat was being an asshole. He's an actual.
Did you pull its teeth out?
He didn't pull his teeth out. I just picked him off of my fiance's artist booth. He's a demon. Like, he'll gnaw on my toes. He'll pick things out of, like, the depths of, like, places he couldn't get out of, but he'll get things out of. He's a demon. He's not a cat. He's not a human.
Sam would usually have her cat on the podcast.
Have you seen Adam's writing this down already? It's like
the demon cat. You need to write this movie.
Oh my God,
Demon cat.
That's the next film, guys. Sieges 2021.
His name is Waffles, so if you can name him Waffles, I'll be gratefully appreciative.
Waffles, cool. But yeah, Sam's right with the writing thing. Like, we've got three stories on the go now, like 2 written films and another one half written, and like we're just putting paper to ink, and we've got where is it? Oh no, Adam's got it. You've got the
That's something I didn't want to touch on because I didn't know if you guys were being secretive, but I was going to ask what you guys are working on next. But I know like sometimes writers and directors are very secretive about what they're working on next or whether they're on like a contract or something. But it's very promising that you're working on something and you guys have something like in the pipe working on. So I'm excited to see what that is.
We've got 3.
We've
3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. 3 films.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. Well, Rich said, 2 screenplays have been written. The other one is in the process of being written, and I guess it's just a case of which one do we do next, and who do we go with to do that in terms of production houses and this, that, and the other, and who. Yeah, it's. I mean, like we'd love to do any of them. There's probably one. There's one that Rich and I are both kind of set on doing next immediately, but it all depends on the kind of budget that we can attain and from whom. So I guess time will tell, over the next few months and the people that we're talking to and planning to talk to. So we'll see. But yeah, there are essentially 3 films ahead of us. Yeah, that are almost ready to go.
Fantastic. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to see what's next for all of you, whether it's in filmmaking, whether it's in acting. I really feel like I've talked to a group of people who are really who've already done something very special and are going to continue to do that as your careers progress. I'm so excited to have had you guys on here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this whole episode I've been so antsy because I've been like I just love everybody that's on the podcast right now. Like everybody involved with this film. Like I can't wait to hear what they have to say. Like I can't wait to hear what.
Also, you're the only guests we've ever had that are also in the chat. It's been remarkable to watch this.
Yeah, I'm with you, Neal. I've had 6
Sasquatches, wasn't it? Sasquatch.
Six Sasquatches.
Sasquatch. Sam's gone, but she loves Rick and Morty.
They're 8.5%, so I'm really drunk, but that doesn't take away how I feel about this film because I watched this film while I was sober, and I loved it.
Now he's very drunk.
Now I'm really drunk.
Loves it even more.
Exactly.
Sam, Connor's had 6. How many Sasquatches have you had? Squanch.
I've had 6 bat squatches.
Bat squatches.
What's a bat squatch?
Well, it sounds like squanch.
Oh, the beer. Oh, yeah. The ones that hang upside down on trees and you have to pick them in the autumn before they ripe. Yeah.
It just sounds like a Rick and Morty reference. That's all I think of when he said that earlier.
Oh, squanch. Yeah.
Squanch.
It's true. I'm not entirely intoxicated until the shirt comes off.
And that's okay. We don't need to have anybody's shirt come off.
Hey,
no, because
urban.
We want to see it.
I respect you guys too much to take your shirt off.
Don't encourage it.
Are you chanting for the shirt to come off?
Oh, take it off.
Was that?
Take it off. Go on.
No!
Oh, look at her. Here we go.
Yes,
Oh, God.
on the head, yes. Sun protection.
2 hours and 42 minutes into the podcast, Connor removed his shirt.
Yes, Connor.
I was going
I
to
am very drunk.
let the record show I had no part in that move.
It was all
Edit
Neal.
it out.
It was all Neal.
Only sun protection.
Oh my God, guys, it's been so amazing.
Thank you.
You're clearly, very busy people promoting this film and this, a film that deserves to be promoted. It's been so amazing having you guys here all this time. It's really been a delight, a joy, and a privilege to talk to you guys, mayonnaise and all. The movie's hosts, this thing's on VOD, just basically anywhere that you watch VOD films on. So go find it.
Here's the thing.
You know what?
Studios like to look at Apple and iTunes. So if you have an Apple TV or you're on your phone, it's a very cheap rental on Apple.
Connor, put that. Can we put that picture back up? Because we've been having this argument with Dark Sky.
Available now on
something.
On
Available now.
everything.
Filmed by Adam Leader and Richard Oakes. Available now on.
I'm seeing
Apple
Prime.
TV, Google Play, Vudu, Microsoft. I can't read the other one. And Fandango.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Between Microsoft and Fandango, I'm admittedly not super
Sky,
sure.
fucking, there's a thing called increase your font size, bro. If you're listening to this, sort your shit out and get us on Netflix.
I'm not being mean. I just can't help snorting sometimes.
Guys,
Oh
it's
my God, I
amazing.
just realised no one could see me at that point.
Directed by Richard Oakes and Adam Leader. Available on. Where?
And I got Rich has been like trying to kill me with these. He's sending me things throughout the show. And I'm at my limit. I can't not.
I think that's my favorite GIF of all time. It's just like,
Oh, really? I think mine was the boy chasing the goose with a coat on with a hose. Right, it's irrelevant. I was just talking about gifts.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Oh,
Well,
No,
I killed it. I'm sorry.
No, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for anyone watching
Thank you.
live, people who listen after the fact. If it wasn't obvious by now, Host is absolutely worth your time. Go find it on presumably any VOD platform. You, whatever one you prefer, it's on there. You don't have to try to read the picture.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Whilst I remember and whilst we're still live, and for anyone that may see this in the future or is watching now, we have some exclusive limited edition Hosts movie merchandise, which Sam is sporting right now. One of the marvelous hoodies with the hammer as the T.
I got my order in already.
Yes, awesome. But yeah, they are limited edition, and there are
I
only
think
about.
Connor needs a jumper.
this is the first time I'm hearing about
Maybe
this,
the
so
jumpman or a
I'm
t-shirt.
I must say
But
the
there are
fabric's
t-shirts and
very
hoodies
nice.
available right now. There are only a few left, and we are discontinuing this particular design afterwards. So if you want to get one, head to www.hostsmovie.bigcartel.com and pick one up today, please.
I've got to say,
Is
like,
the-
sorry,
is the hat
the
available?
fabric's really nice.
hat.
This-
The
I wish it was. It's not. This is
Yeah.
kind
You know
of.
what? The hat was available
hats.
because Adam's birthday happened, and me and Rich got him that hat, and we got ourselves one. And whilst we were in Sieges, I had a hat, but I gave it to a fan out there, like a nice guy I am. Now I'm jealous because I want my hat back. Because,
damn it.
I'll get a new one, mate, for your birthday.
but we'll get some made up. We'll get some. If people want hats, like inbox the guys, and then we'll sell hats.
I'll wear that on every episode.
Oof.
Where is that?
Right, I need a new one, so I'm gonna get myself one. and then send one out
Legitimately,
there.
I'll wear that hat and that hoodie on every episode.
oh,
Place your order now.
We've got it.
I get shirtless. This is the third time I've been shirtless.
Yeah, it's true.
I get shirtless often.
I think you need a host tattoo if you're going to get shirtless often.
I'll do it.
I think
I'll
that's
do it.
correct.
Don't mess with me. I'm
Maybe just a
I'm-
hammer. Just a hammer. Like it's kind of subtle. Just a hammer.
I mean,
You know?
I have quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
covered.
totally subtle.
You know what you could do? You could get hosts, right, across your chest, but then hereditary, it follows.
Follows.
Yes.
The big three.
Big three that fucked me up.
Yeah.
You're absolutely
And the
right.
squash, the Sasquatch,
And the squatch, and the bat squatch, and the bat squatch.
Praise be.
and Richard
Praise
is
be.
And I'll get Richard's face. I'll get Richard's
Can
face.
you see it?
Look at Richard's face.
No, you need Richard's baby. Like,
Richard's a
baby.
I'll get Richard's face right here.
Oh my god.
Dude, how are you gonna edit this 3-hour thing down? Shit.
There's no edit. It's you gotta put it up.
It's
Yeah,
going
no,
out.
no.
For it.
Oh my god, there it is. It's already there. It.
My
That's it.
kids have got film at the moment, so we made cookies for a Halloween party tomorrow. My wife and Nadia made cookies all day. She's gone to grab one.
Wait for it.
No.
Oh!
I do one of those in a heartbeat. The one in your left hand, Nadia, looks slightly challenged, but the one on the right, that one is a bit challenged, man. Nadia Lamin.
Nadia,
I knew.
did you do
I knew
that?
there
What
was
flavor are they?
No. Back. Shoot.
I don't have just one. I have two.
Oh, that's great.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's
I have
good.
3
Nadia has
posters
to-
hanging in my
I
home.
can't deal with any more Pennywise.
I love Pennywise. Pennywise is my ultimate villain.
It's your
But,
spirit.
yeah, the thing is, like,
But
I
guess
just really
who's next?
don't like him.
Guess
That one
who's
time he
next
turned into
to
a tramp and just
Pennywise?
gone through the
Next to
swamp
Pennywise is Neal Ward and Sam from Hope.
Oh.
They're my secondary, but Pennywise is
Dude.
my number one.
I need to
Are
take
you
my
saying
shirt
that I
off.
could also be a leper at some stage in my life?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
oh. Someone compared me to Alan Rickman the other week, but that's just topped it. Oh,
I think this is definitely the best podcast for it. Well,
for fun,
Yeah.
for
In
shits
ever.
and gigs. This is great.
Yeah, we've had a great time, guys.
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, you've
That makes
Thank
me
you guys
so
for
happy.
coming on. If we haven't already, we've sang your praises enough. We've loved the film. We've loved the film, and we're so happy you guys were able to come on and talk about the film with us in the background to the film. Well, too bad, Jessica, because I love Pennywise.
Oh, bless her. Who is she? Bless her. She's been involved from the start. She sat through 3.5 hours, or 3 hours.
It's my girlfriend. Jessica's my favorite ghoul, as I say on this show.
Oh,
She's number one. And my biggest
She sat
supporter.
up the screen next to you. Is that what's happening? She's like,
No, she's
A little window. That's just at the bottom, just telling everyone she hates them.
yeah, guys, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time. Thank you for having fun with us. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it because we certainly did. It's been amazing and surreal to talk to a couple of people who made a film we really love. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys have been a barrel of love.
if you've ever got a Christmas special, just hit us up. We'll come in and do some fun on Christmas. special.
Honestly, we might
Love
revisit this on Christmas because this is bound to be a Christmas movie that we watch.
Well, let's do it again then. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do it again.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Matt,
It's back.
Fuck you, look like Morpheus.
You'd be surprised. I actually get that a lot.
Sorry,
almost
Matt, bro.
fell
I
on
just
my
thought
chair.
Morpheus
I
had just
almost fell
popped
on
into
my
my life
chair.
and told me shit was going down.
we do have. I forget if it's Happy Real Days or Really Holidays coming up. One of the two, but we do have that coming up. So Connor, we could definitely do something with that.
Let's do it. Let's do that. Sorry,
That'd be
Matt.
awesome.
I would love to do it.
You guys have a big old Thanksgiving kind of shebang, and then Christmas comes after, right? Whereas for us, we just get excited for Christmas, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is
We
now.
just get conned out of every retail department store to spend money for Halloween, Christmas, whichever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here.
Seen Star Wars yet?
I'm on number 7.
Star Wars.
Oh, dude, you don't even.
Has he seen Star Wars?
Let's see. Hold up.
Where have you been all night, bro? Man, you missed out on all
Have
this shit.
I seen Star Wars? Oh, here's the complete box set. Here's the
Oh,
fucking
man.
helmets.
You got a
We've got
helmet.
another 3 hours here right now. Let's go.
Oh my god.
Matt, where have you been, bro?
I had to help my girlfriend with the homework, so that's why I was gone.
Fair dues.
This episode is longer than any single Star Wars movie, for what that's worth.
Yes.
That is correct. And
It's
Oh
longer
my
than the
God.
film I
Broke up
watched
the boobs.
before I came on this podcast, and that was 3 hours.
Good for you, friend.
Oh no.
Good for you. That's it. That's the best cue we've ever had to wrap this thing up. Matt's hitting the booze. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank
you.
you, everybody watching at home. Thank you for those who listen after the fact. If you haven't already, watch Host. It's a fucking killer of a movie. It rules.
And genuinely, the guys involved are some of the best people I've ever met virtually. They are amazing, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We love you guys. I plan on watching this again on Christmas, and I hope to have you guys on again, whether it
always
be
welcome
for a holiday rewatch or whatever you're doing next. Thank you so much for coming on, and I hope to see you guys
come
again.
back.
Thank you.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Anytime. This has been incredible, man.
Hell yeah. Watch Hosts. Good night, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Bye.